We'll call this meeting to order. This is the May 27th, 2026 meeting of the Windham Central Supervisory Union full board. This is our reorganization meeting now that all of our boards have reorganized. And so I will begin by soliciting nominations for chair.
I know last year we nominated the current slate of officers to repeat their positions just to save a little time. I'm willing to do that again.
I will second that motion.
Can we take them individually? I'm sorry.
Sure. I'll nominate Rich Warner for chair.
All right, we have a nomination for Rich Warner for chair. Do we have any other nominations?
You don't have to second nominations.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's just that.
Just to have it be a slate.
No other nominations. Closing, oops, sorry, I gotta let this person in. Closing nominations. All those in favor say aye.
I nominate Drew Hazelton.
Oh,
I respectfully decline.
Drew Hazelton respectfully declines. All in favor of the initial nomination of Rich Warner, please signify by saying aye.
Is there a second?
Aye. I'm sorry, I mean, we closed Drew declined the offer to be nominated.
But is there still discussion on the motion?
No.
No, we have moved past accepting new, and we have moved into the vote. We had all in favor. Any objections? Signify by saying
Yes.
nay.
Nay.
All right. Any abstentions? So it sounds like because we have a split vote, we need to do a roll call on this. So I'm going to start.
When the motion was made and seconded, there was no discussion. Why was there no discussion?
We don't need a second on motions for officers,
There's no discussion on it.
and we don't need to have a discussion. I asked twice for additional nominations. I heard none. I moved on.
Okay.
So we're going to do a roll call. We'll do this by order of the boards. That's how I have it written out here. So I'm going to start with River Valley's Rich.
I'll abstain.
Rich abstains. Kate.
Aye.
Dwight.
Yes.
West River, Joe.
Aye.
Al.
Aye.
Fiona.
Abstain.
Sorry, I'm just making the record here. Drew.
Yes.
Leanne.
Yes.
Emily's not present, correct? Abby.
Nay.
Moving into Marlboro, Dan.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
And is Melissa here from Stratton? Do not see Melissa. So I have 2 abstentions, 1 nay, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ayes. The ayes have it. The chair is Rich Warner. I turn the meeting over to him.
Thank you, folks. We have just to clarify, and I usually do this when we do nominations. Nominations don't need a second. You just need to nominate. If the person declines, then obviously they've declined, and you can self-nominate yourself, which a lot of people miss. And then there's just a vote, no discussion, no second required. So vice chair was in the past Emily Long, so I would open nominations for a vice chair, please.
I'll nominate Emily Long.
Okay, so I have a nomination for Emily Long. She's not here to decline. Are there any other nominations?
I'll nominate Drew Hazelton.
Okay, is that Abby again?
That's Abby. Yep.
Drew, I think you're gonna accept that one, right? Okay, are there any other nominations? So in the past, when we've had multiple people run, we've always done a ballot vote. However, we've never had multiple people run in the day of Zoom. So is everybody comfortable with letting us know? And I don't think there's any reason to do an aye and nays because there's multiple people. So it's really not a nay vote. It's just that you're not voting, or you vote for one or the other, or you can abstain. Is everybody okay going around, or do you want to do a paper ballot? And the people online, you got 4 online.
Yeah, I don't know how we would collect that.
I think they could email you.
Sure.
So how do you folks want to do this? It's all up to you. Any thoughts? Drew, you're one of the people running. What do you think?
I'm fine with just a voice vote going around the room.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that then? Everybody in TV land, are you okay with that?
Yes, voice vote is fine.
Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go around off of my list. My list is a little different than Bob's list. So I'm gonna start with Joe.
You just want me to name a candidate?
Yeah.
Okay, Emily.
Okay. Okay, Al.
Emily.
Drew.
Me?
I don't have a me. Fiona.
Drew.
Leanne.
Drew.
And no Emily. Marlboro. Go ahead, Dan. Oh, I'm sorry, ladies first.
Emily.
Thank you, Rachel. Go ahead, Dan.
Emily.
I don't think I have, Melissa's not here, you said, right?
Right, you have Dwight, Kate, and Abby online.
Okay, Abby.
Drew.
Thank you, Abby. And then I got Kate,
Emily.
and I got Dwight.
Drew.
I count 5 and 5.
That's what I got.
Okay, so I'm gonna vote for Emily, and it'll be 6 to 5. So I have 6 Emily and 5 Drew. Is everybody good with that? Anybody want to recount? Everybody okay? Okay, elected clerk. I've never, all the years I've been here, have you ever had an election for the vice chairman or clerk?
You mean a two-person election?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. No, it's, which is not the way it ought to be. I think it's really a positive thing to have 2 people run for the position, so. Maybe
Okay.
I'll have them for clerk, although there's, not quite so many brownies for being a clerk, I guess.
Because they're the ones that get served papers when you get sued.
Okay, good.
So,
Fantastic.
so anyways, the person we get served is Al. Al's our clerk, so again, nominations for clerk and nominations don't need a second, and again, you can self-nominate yourself.
Can you clarify what is the role of the clerk? I'm on.
The clerk is one of the officers of the board, and they are the person that's supposed to be sued. When we get sued, they're the official supposed to be served, and there are some different things that are required by law that the clerk is supposed to respond to. They're not the clerk of the district, they're the clerk of the board, which is a little bit different.
Thanks.
It was like before there were minute takers, they used to do the minutes, right?
Nah, not
really.
always. I mean, some did, but they didn't always have to be.
They have to sign banking things a lot. They'll certify.
Sometimes they want the
their
officers to
signature.
sign like the checking accounts when you change, and it's kind of a ceremonial thing, you get put up on a pedestal and everybody throws darts at you.
That's my job.
Oh, that's your job? Okay. Well, you can throw them at the clerk and the superintendent. So do I have a nomination? I'm sorry, folks, we got a lot to do tonight, so.
I'll
Al Clausen.
nominate Al Clausen.
Okay, so I have a nomination for Al. Are there any other nominations?
I'll nominate Drew Hazelton.
I respectfully decline.
No darts?
You don't want to get sued?
Leanne.
I'm sorry.
Get enough of that.
Hang on a second. Drew, you declined?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Abby, he declined. I'm not sure if you can hear us very well.
Yeah, she
Okay,
nominated.
can I nominate Leanne?
If Leanne wants to.
structure.
Leanne says not with her structure.
She declines as well.
Are you all set, Abby?
Fiona.
No, thank you.
I think 3 strikes and you're out, but you can go one more. This is modified.
Is there anyone else that has not been in that role before?
Well, almost everybody else on the group. I've never been the clerk.
You want to be the?
The executive committee will, I guess, just further be discussed later on in the meeting, but I'll bring it up then. Thank you.
You can nominate yourself, Abby. Okay, guess that doesn't get an answer. Are there any other nominations? Anybody else like to nominate somebody? Okay, hearing none. I think we only have Al running for clerk. So all those in favor of Al, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed besides Al? Oh, I'm sorry.
Nay.
Okay, so we have one nay, so we're gonna have to do a roll call again. I'm not even gonna go to abstention. So in favor of Al, different list. I'm gonna move it around a little bit. Kate?
Yes.
Okay. Kate, Dwight?
Aye.
Thank you. No Melissa still? Abby?
Nay, sorry, my button is sticking.
Okay, sticky buttons are bad this time of year. Rachel?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And then through the West River folks, Joe?
Yes.
Al?
Aye.
Drew?
Yes.
Fiona?
Aye.
And Leanne?
Aye.
Okay. So I count, and I'm not gonna vote on this one, so I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I count 8 yeses and 1 no, 9 total, 10, right? Yes. Okay, we have a clerk. So,
Joe, that was only 10 votes, we had 11 votes before. Did we miss something?
right, because I voted last time, I
It
didn't
was a
vote.
tiebreaker.
He broke the tie.
I broke the
So we have
tie.
the same number of votes.
Yeah, no. But thank you, Drew. So the policy committee, we usually set a policy committee, and usually every board should have reorganized by now, and usually each board sets a couple members. I think West River, you do 3 or 4 policy people. And usually we just have the policy committee made up of a member, from each of the boards. Is everybody still good with that?
Yeah.
So what we'll do, Bob, is have each of the boards who have appointed a policy committee, have those boards appoint one person to the WCSU policy committee.
From their committee.
From their policy committee, and if nobody wants to do it, we'll let the boards appoint the person. That's how it's always been done in the past. But does anybody disagree with having a policy committee for WCSU? Because we do have some stuff we want to look at this year. Everybody on TV land okay? Executive committee meeting schedule. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit. We used to meet, the executive committee used to meet twice a year. We would meet a couple times before the budget, because one of the things is the executive committee was supposed to present a budget to the full board. And what we did is when Bill Anton was in and we had COVID, Bill asked if the executive committee, which is made up of your 3 officers of Windham Central and each of your board chairs, and there's only 1 vote from each district. So although like Al and Emily are on it from West River and Joe is because he's the chairman, they only get 1 vote. So they don't get multiple votes. And what we did was during COVID, if you remember, those of you that were here for COVID, all that fun, I know Drew was here. And you were around too. It was really, there's a lot of stuff going on because, they recommend you close school and you wear masks and not wear masks. So the executive committee started meeting weekly with Bill so Bill could update the executive committee who would bring it back to their boards. And then if he had issues that he wanted some advice on, like the new policy from the CDC is that you wear triple masks, but the state of Vermont says double masks. And how does everybody feel? It was trying to get input. When Bob took over, we kind of continued that, but we started having issues getting a group of people together, get a quorum. And so we can still do that. We can still have a monthly meeting. Maybe we don't meet in the summer, but it's a good chance just for the superintendent to say, hey, this has come down from the Department of Ed, or we've got this new thing that came down for VSBA. And then the officers and the chairs of the different boards can discuss it and then bring it back to their boards. The executive committee's powers are defined in a document called the, somebody help me. Bylaws of the executive committee. But the executive committee can do a lot of things, but usually at these meetings, we wouldn't do a lot of things other than just have discussions. And then it also gave us a chance when whoever's there, whichever school districts are there, kind of report out. Like When Dan was going through and Marlboro and his board were going through possibly closing their school, you know, he would just say, hey, here's what we're doing, and some people would maybe make some suggestions or, you know, try to be supportive. So that's what the executive committee does. So do we want to try to keep with those meetings? Go ahead.
Are those meetings open to the public or videoed?
No, they're recorded, yeah.
They
I'm
are
sorry.
recorded?
Yeah, just like,
Okay.
not like him, it's just the Zoom is recorded.
Got it, okay, thank you.
And minutes are taken and posted.
Great.
Yeah,
Links to the
and
video.
we did have some public show up at a few, so we used to never have members of the public because we were lucky to have the members of the committee show up. So we have recently added members of the public in there.
Great.
I'm concerned about the way that, so from, you know, as everybody knows, we've had 2 failed budget votes. I've spent a lot of time engaged with our public in Jamaica, and transparency and trust is one of the common themes. So, and the executive committee meetings are part of what the public is pointing at as concerning. You know, they happen at 8 o'clock in the morning, they happen in Bob's office.
Well, they're actually on Zoom.
Sort of, right? If and when you can find and get to a Zoom link. Because again, we've established like, there's not like a big button. You have to know that there's a meeting and then go find an agenda and then go through the link of the agenda. And I also don't know that they serve an important purpose anymore. So I wonder if we're doing harm to our credibility, our transparency, and our trust by not just having full board meetings where BCTV is here and recording versus having executive committee meetings. And when I read through the bylaws, it looks like the executive committee really pretty much wields the full power of the board without the board being present. So the executive committee could make decisions that compel everybody else into doing things, everything from hiring to setting wages to policy. Is all within their purview the way I read the bylaws. So I would say that I don't think we need that committee or the work that it's doing.
Well, we have an executive committee, I mean, that's, there always is
We
an
can vote to
executive.
dissolve that committee tonight.
Okay. And they don't set raises, Drew, they make a recommendation, and I'm surprised you would say that because you were there. The executive committee makes a recommendation so that when the superintendent builds a budget and the business manager, that gets voted on by the full board. The executive committee cannot set raises.
It
So
doesn't say that in the bylaws.
we never have.
No, what I'm saying is the bylaws allow that activity. I'm not saying that it's been exercised. The way the bylaws are written, it allows that activity.
I'm not sure. But anyways, we're gonna have that reviewed later, so, okay. So you wanna do, I'm pretty sure that each group has required to have an executive committee. So I guess, Drew, if you'd like to make a motion, we could if everybody's in agreement, we can entertain a vote on whether or not we disband the executive committee. I think you're still always gonna have an executive committee, because they are charged with certain things in the bylaws, so I think the way to do that would be more in the bylaws, when we rewrite the bylaws. But again, I'm not the end-all be-all, so and Abby, I'll get to you in one sec. So if y'all, I'd like to hear what y'all think about having a motion to dissolve that, and Abby had her hand up first, I'll go to her and then you, Dan. Go ahead, Abby.
Thank you. I'm glad that we're bringing up the bylaws, as I had requested at the last executive committee meeting, well in advance for the agenda, for it to be on there, and it was not. I asked again for the bylaws to be on this agenda, and it was not. I'm very frustrated. It was changed. Bob decided, or you decided, Rich, to not include it. It is very concerning, and trying to, as a member of this board, obtain information has been incredibly challenging. The executive committee was established when it was a 30-plus member board. It is no longer that. I move to disband the executive committee.
So Abby, that's what I was asking the group to weigh in on. Do they think that's an appropriate motion? So,
It's a motion on the floor, Rich.
yeah, it is, Abby. So do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion. Open for
Okay.
discussion.
So we have a motion to disband the executive committee, and we have a second. So Abby, you get to, because you made the motion, you can say if you have anything else you want to say to it, and then we'll let other people talk.
So we're having discussion as to why
Yeah.
that should be disbanded?
Yeah.
As a member of that board, it was a challenge to even become invited to be able to get to the meetings. I was receiving invitations after they had occurred. When I finally get to join and actually become a part of it, I find out there was over 2 years of minutes that were never approved or submitted. So there's a lot of very concerning perspective as far as what communities are seeing, and myself as a board member wanting to know what's going on that needs to be totally taken by the whole board. So that is what I would like people to really consider, is that everyone on this full board should be involved in every conversation. It's
Hey,
not
folks.
too large of a board.
Hey, Abby, hang on a sec. If we could just have, it's hard for me to keep track of what's going on, and we'll give you guys a chance in a second. I'm sorry, Abby, go ahead and finish. I'm getting old and I can't do two things at once anymore.
I'm not sure what the other thing was. I'm saying I made my point that this should be disbanded. The board is too small. We have too much going on right now to be alienating members and communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Drew.
I got nothing to add.
Go ahead.
So I just want to speak in favor of the executive committee, because it's the one way that I kind of keep in touch way more often than the regular board meetings as to what's going on. I don't recollect making important decisions when we meet at 8 o'clock on Thursday mornings. What I remember mostly is just what's going on in the various schools, anything else coming down the pike that we ought to be paying attention to, and that is helpful for a board chair. So I support the executive committee, and I don't think that important decisions are being made behind closed doors. I can understand the optics of it seeming like it's a small group making important decisions, and I don't know how to deal with that. I think doing a better job of getting the agenda out and the notifications out so that it is a simple click instead of having to rustle around to find it. Same with the minutes, make sure they're well posted and accurate, but I would be in favor of continuing to have an executive committee.
Okay, go ahead, Fiona, and then you can go ahead after her.
I was just pointing her to a document so she could follow along. That's all I was doing, Rich.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, it's when there's multiple things going on.
So, new to this board, I'm curious, how often does this board meet versus the executive committee, and what are the differences between meeting as a full committee and meeting as an executive committee?
So the executive committee, is kind of Dan was saying, and I tried to explain earlier, was just kind of for the superintendent to bounce ideas, for board chairs to say, hey, I've got this issue going on, or it's getting really hectic, I don't know what to do. Has anybody run into something like this? We're thinking of closing our school. What kind of other people considered that? What kind of issues did you have? Town meetings coming up, what are you guys doing? What are you hearing? It was more or less, and it was supposed to be an informal kind of just touch base. It was, I think Drew or Abby said something, and again, sorry about getting confused a little bit, but been a long day. It used to be 30 members, so you had to have 15 to make a quorum. We used to have meetings where somebody would come in, that was our 15th person, we try to vote on a bunch of stuff because they had to go leave to do something, and somebody else was coming in 10 minutes later, but if they didn't come in. So the executive committee, we did do a lot more in the older days with the executive committee because we just could never get a full board. When Act 46 happened and we reorganized, we had River Valley's form, and we had West River form, and then we just had Marlboro and Stratton and Windham as separate boards. It became a lot easier, and we seemed to always have quorums, but we also cut way back on our meetings. We don't meet every week or every month because it's hard enough to get people in. And like tonight, you guys need to do a lot of stuff with West River. It would have been nice maybe if you didn't have to have your meeting earlier to fit this one in. So that's kind of the history of it.
Why would those kinds of conversations not happen at a full board meeting?
Because it was hard to have full board meetings. and it's hard to get people together for full board meetings. When Act 46 came down the pike, I was chairman, and before it was even a law, we had it, you look, I don't know, it's,
No.
oh, I'm sorry. It was, we decided to meet monthly and have a group, meetings, and we couldn't even pull that together, and Act 46 was really important. So it wound up being a committee of, again, 1 or 2 members from the boards, and that was the only way we could have meetings. You don't get to meet in June, July, and August. Sometimes you don't get to meet in September. Christmas time, you look at what happens when we have the vote on the budget. Sometimes we don't have everybody here because it's the holidays, it's around Thanksgiving, or there's something going on at school. There's been a lot of commitment lately, but for a long time, even with the smaller group, we'd have 7 or 8, we would just barely make it. I think Drew counted tonight, we had 11. So we're missing, 2, which isn't bad.
So we don't meet as a board on a monthly basis?
No. No, especially when you have your board meetings, your regular board meetings, and we also don't want to kill the superintendent.
In your packet, you'll see the proposed schedule for next year. There's 5 full SU meetings proposed, which is standard to what's been the last few years.
Okay.
And we have though, I take that back, because it isn't standard,
Well,
because we've had a bunch of extra special meetings,
Sure,
not
right.
extra special, we've had a bunch of extra
they've
meetings
been extra
that
special.
were special because we've had requests from West River, and we've had requests from other boards, and we've had a lot of stuff going on. And sometimes it's nice to be able to have a meeting, to have some time so that we're not having so many meetings that people don't come if we really need you to come.
Got it. Thank you for the clarification.
Go ahead.
I changed my mind. I do have something to say.
That's great.
I think what I've been sort of hearing, because I've heard some of this too regarding the executive committee, is the authority granted to that. And looking it up, the executive committee, some of it's okay, approve the draft budget, bring it forward, similar as like a budget committee would do. But then negotiate and renew contract for the superintendent and confirm the hire of all other licensed WCSU employees. Now, I know you're saying you haven't been doing that, but that authority's here in these bylaws. And I think that's a concern to people as well, that could be done in an executive committee rather than at the full board level.
So, and again, I have a bunch of things I want to bring up tonight without keeping you all here till midnight like we used to meet till. So there are, again, it's been discussed, and we will have a group reviewing the executive committee bylaws. They were done in 2013, but they were also reviewed in 2020, which is, around COVID, the start of COVID. I don't remember specifically doing it, but I do know that they show that they were reviewed, and it's usually every 5 to 6 years you want to review policies, and so it is about time to do that anyway. So we can do that if the full board decides they want to take some of those away. That can be decided by the full board. Go ahead.
Well, as someone who's not on the executive committee, I think it's really great to have someone go to these meetings and come back and tell the rest of the board what's happening. I find it helpful as a board. It just lessens my workload, so it's great. Thank you.
Dwight, and did somebody else over? Okay, Dwight, you said.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, I'm not so certain, it's unnecessary. My concern, is if it is written in the bylaws, disbanding this committee in a vote doesn't change the bylaws. So it's still there. So someone could argue that group needs to, do the jobs that it's supposed to do. I like the idea that you mentioned that the bylaws are being reviewed, and I think that's a healthy thing to do, and to rewrite them. I would be in favor of, putting those bylaws in front of the whole group and revising them in such a way that is the will of this group. But disbanding it in this fashion, I don't think would solve all of our problems. Let's put it that way.
Okay, thank you, Dwight. So again, we do have a policy committee. It is a policy, so that would probably be one of the first charges we could assign to the policy committee. I'd like to, Drew, give me 1 second. Is there anybody that didn't get to say anything yet? I think we got Abby, Dwight. The only other one you have online is Kate.
Correct.
Kate, are you all set?
Oh, good, thank you.
Al, you didn't say anything? You all set? Joe?
I'm fine.
I think everybody else got, so go ahead, Drew.
So just to, I went back while your conversation was going on and looked. Back last fall, the November Executive Committee meeting voted to approve the 5% raises that went to administration. It was brought to the full meeting, and that was a meeting where I asked questions about that. And in the minutes, it's clear that we did not vote on that. It was said that that was decided by the Executive Committee. That was the assumption that was made. So my recollection is correct. It was brought to the Executive Committee according to the minutes. The Executive Committee has a clear vote to approve the 5%. There is not a vote from the SU. And in fact, in the minutes, it says, I question that, but we didn't get to actually have that discussion and vote on that.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure the record is
Can I correct one
straight.
thing,
The Executive Committee made the vote, not the full board.
The executive committee voted to put the 5% in the budget,
Yep.
okay? The full board votes on the budget, so the full board could have made a motion to pull that out of the budget, or they could have made a motion to change the budget.
You disallowed my ability. I asked the question, it says it right here, and you didn't allow me
No.
to have that information at the
I
time.
don't believe that was it, but I'll stand
I've got the
corrected.
minutes in front of me.
Okay, so I will stand corrected that the executive committee makes a proposal. They don't vote a budget. So the executive committee can vote to give everybody a 100% increase. And the full board can vote against that, and they can turn down the budget. So. Okay, anybody else? You all ready to vote? I think, so just so I make sure I get it right, the vote is to do away with the executive committee. I guess, I don't remember exactly what was said, but all those in favor, please signify so by saying aye if you want to get rid of the executive committee.
Aye.
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 Okay, I think I heard 4 ayes. All those in favor of keeping, all those not in favor of the motion, please say aye, or please say nay, I'm sorry.
Nay.
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 Okay, again, it's a split vote. I'm gonna go for a different list. Let's mix it up. Still no Melissa? Let's go to, who hasn't gone first? Margaret, you haven't gone first yet, Dan.
Nay.
Rachel?
Nay.
Let's go to Stratton. Oh, Stratton's not here. Let's go to Windham. Abby?
Aye.
Thank you, Abby. Joe?
Aye. I'm sorry, nay. I got confused. I hate when you have to vote no to mean yes, keep it.
Al?
Nay.
Drew?
Yes.
Fiona?
Yes.
Leanne?
Yes.
Dwight?
Nay.
Kate?
Nay.
Okay, so I count 4 ayes and 6 nays, and the chair's not gonna vote. Can't vote to do anything anyways. So the ayes, the nays have it, the ayes don't. 6 to 4, 10 votes. Everybody good? So with the executive committee meeting schedule, Bob has a proposed schedule, so we'll keep that for now. And we can revisit that during the policy committee's review of the executive committee policy. SU board makeup. So our next topic is, in the past, we've, it used to be we had 3 members from every board, and then that's how we had 30 people, because we had Brookline, Newfane, Jamaica, Townsend, Dover, Wardsboro, Stratton, Winhall, Windham and Marlboro. That was a 10. So we had 30 members on the super board. Then with Act 46, we cut down the number of boards. So we wanted to make something fair. So we have 6 voting members from West River. It's our larger district. We have 3 from River Valley because they operated 2 schools. We had 2 each from Windham and Marlboro because they operated schools, and we had 1 from Stratton. That was our only non-operating district. Windham closed their school and they went down to 1 because they didn't operate a school, but they also have representation on the West River board, so people felt that was fair at the time when we voted that. Marlboro Doesn't have representation on any of the board, but they don't operate a school, but they are kind of still operating a school district. Even though it's non-operating, they're not actually operating a school, they still have a building and they still have some issues. So we need to discuss at some point are we gonna change the SU board makeup? Does Marlboro get to keep 2 members or go down to 1? If everybody's okay with that, there's some legal issues that we would have to look into. I don't think it's something we should vote on tonight, but I just wanted to put it in there. And I wanted to ask this group if they're okay, if that's something else we give to the policy committee, because when they're looking at the
Is it in the
executive
bylaws?
committee.
Is the layout of those?
It was
Those in the
something, it was
bylaws?
something that was voted on, and we had to get it approved by the state, and I don't recall how it all worked. That's why I was gonna ask that if we could leave that and have that explored by a group that could report back to the full board. So Al, I think Abby again had her hand up. Is that you, Abby?
Yes, I believe it
go
is in
ahead.
statute that is why Windham also has the representation that we have per statute. So I don't think it's a matter of discussion. It is what has to happen, unfortunately.
Okay, well, we can also look into that. Go ahead, Al, and then Dan.
I just remember that in what we set up, or probably by law, no one district can have 50% or more of the vote, the controlling vote. So we'd have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it was a lot of, I remember during the Act 46 meetings that we had a whole bunch of discussions about that. So that's why, again, I don't think we should vote on it tonight. I think we should ask for it to be researched by a council, and then I think it would be good for a committee to look at it, to bring a recommendation to the board, to the full board.
So I do want to speak in favor of Marlboro maintaining 2 members on the board. Abby will have to look at the statutes on that, but we have the same number of kids. We're going to have the same number of student issues in schools, et cetera. So I think just in terms of the way the original representation was laid out was number of students, and then making sure that there were enough votes to be able to outvote River Valleys, but we still have however many students we have, and it's a decent number. It's not enough to run the school that we have, but it's quite a few. So I'd like to speak in favor of keeping 2 members from Marlboro. When the time comes, we'll just be part of the research.
And I think that it should go to I think the policy committee would probably be the best one, because I think the policy committee kind of worked with the original, the 2013 or 2014, whatever year that was.
And we obviously need to check out the statute on that too, so.
Because I don't remember Abby being on the board when that happened, so I'm not sure. There was something that got brought up. I just remember West River, because they had representation on the West River board too. They said that was kind of like a second position, but again, does Windham get a vote on the West River, a position on the West River board, or are they in that large? They have 1. Abby, I don't remember, but if you have any of that information, can you make sure you get that to us too, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is everybody okay with that?
That, just looking at the bylaws real quick here, Rich, our bylaws still say it's 3 voting members from each board that employs teachers and 1 from a board that doesn't employ teachers, which is where you get the 1 for the non-operating, but that's our bylaws.
That's the SU bylaws.
That's the SU bylaws, yeah. So we need to, I thought we had 2, but I don't, it's not in the copy that was provided.
But is that the one that was updated in 2020?
It's the one that was just distributed to us. I was just pointing this out to say, we need to probably more than look at the executive committee bylaws, we need to look at the whole bylaws and just make sure that we are, doing, that we're compliant everywhere.
And again, we've also always tried to, I know like during the Act 46 study groups, we try to really work with everybody to try to make everybody, get somewhere where they felt comfortable. And it was not an easy time. And and that's kind of my next topic, merger exploration, because it's not gonna be an easy time. And, I'm not sure, nobody knows what's gonna happen under the Golden Dome. But there's a lot of stuff going on. So is everybody okay with the SU the SU board makeup, is there anybody? Everybody good?
Can I just ask a
Yeah.
clarifying question? Since I would probably be the person who wouldn't be here, but I'm on the policy committee. I mean, when does that go into effect?
Policy committee is separate from the SU executive committee and the SU board.
Oh, okay.
So you could be on the policy committee, but maybe not on the executive committee or the SU committee. Who's on, Joe, who's on your policy committee from West River?
Lindsay, Dana,
Crystal.
So
Crystal.
as an
Okay.
example, Lindsay's the only one that's on the SU board.
That's Leanne.
I'm
Oh,
Leanne.
Leanne, I always do that to you, don't I? Lindsay was the lady I sat to over there.
Yes.
That's why I said when I came in, I was like, this is weird, this doesn't look right. I thought I was in the twilight zone, I thought I was back in high school.
Just a bit.
It was bad. Okay, yeah, so it doesn't, you can be on different committees. And actually, even on the SU board, sometimes people come off and go on, or they have different things happen in their lives and they can't commit the time. So you can actually resign in the middle of something too and have somebody else take your place. It's not a life sentence, it's not like you did something
You
bad.
wouldn't do that to me, would you, Dan?
Okay, so merger exploration, I wanted to talk about this because it kind of goes back to Act 46, and there's all sorts of maps out there. Senate has the Bongart's map. House has, I don't know whose map that is. It's got Windham Central tied in with Windham Northeast, Windham Brattleboro. It's got the district being split, some of us going to Burton, some of us going to Bells Falls. It's all over the place, but one of the things I've always kind of joked about, it's a lot better when we can do unto ourselves rather than having somebody else do unto us. And so I would really, again, last year, if you remember when there was a mapping committee, we had an emergency meeting. We tried to get the senators to come up and we had a couple of the reps, but really I think the group really heard what we were all saying because there was no map presented. And there was actually, I thought, a pretty good report explaining why there was no map presented. I'd like to ask that we do the same thing again with this. I really believe that, and we're gonna discuss this at our River Valley Board meeting on Monday night. I think we would all benefit from all of us being in multiple groups, merger groups, talking, not just what's assigned to us by the state. Because you got kind of, one of the things is Windham Central has always been geographically the largest district in the state, and we're really diverse. We got the mountain towns, we got Wardsboro that was always kind of part of the Leland and Gray, even though they were officially part of Leland and Gray, but they always were here, and now they're with Dover. We tried to get Marlboro to come with us, but they did their own thing. And because they, for them to have changed in Act 46, it would have required a structure change. And we all kind of stayed with our structures. So there's a whole bunch of things going on. I know Jamaica wants to maybe go somewhere different, but they have the Leland and Gray and the West River group. And so I would really like to encourage us that I think we really should open conversations with not only whoever we may get assigned to, but I would really love to get a group of our board members, of the WCSU board members, to go talk to Windham Southwest, Twin Valley. I don't know if you all know. I know Jamaica closed their school, Marlboro closed their school, but I believe it was Reedsboro and Searsburg never had us. Did Stanford close?
Oh, yes.
No,
Stanford.
it was just Reedsboro.
Reedsboro closed.
Right, but a lot of people, all my friends that, were in that area, Reedsboro, Stanford, most of them went down to Graylock and Drury in North Adams, because they're right there. It was even closer than going to Twin Valley. And, a lot of people from, the valley goes to Leland and Gray. A lot of people in Dover, in Wardsboro, go to either Leland and Gray or over to Burton. Dover, we go everywhere. We got some that, the grandparents went to Wilmington, so they go to Twin Valley. We have some whose grandparents went to Brattleboro. We had some that went to Leland and Gray, and we got a lot of people that go to Burton. So, it's kind of, it used to be which side of town you lived on, but now it's, varies. And, Leland, what my concern is, and I don't know what's gonna happen, and nobody knows what the legislature's gonna vote, until they vote it. And then who knows what the new legislature is gonna say, because it is an election year. So I think it would behoove us, unless somebody has a really strong feeling against it, that we possibly really talk to everybody. I personally, a long time ago, I thought, wow, they ought to just close Leland and Gray and Twin Valley and, just keep Brattleboro and keep Green Mountain or keep the bigger schools. But again, I remember when I went to Leland and Gray and I lived in Newfane, I couldn't do anything after school because we only had the one car that Dad had at work in Brattleboro, and the bus left here at 3:30, and if you did any sports, you had to make sure you found a friend to give you a ride, or what a relief it was when you got a car. I think closing a lot of high schools is not going to be beneficial, especially in the state. I had a discussion with the Secretary of Education last week, and I said, she was saying, well, I've got 4 elementary schools all within 12 miles of each other, and I'm like, that's great if it's like in a flat land. But I said, you could have Dover and Wardsboro, I forget how many miles were apart as the crow flies, but there's not a paved road that connects the 2 schools through the town. You can go out a dirt road, and Jamaica's closer to over the hill, and Windham's closer probably, depending what side of the hill you're on, to going up to Green Mountain. And Newfane shouldn't get stuck with going to Bellows Falls when they're one town over from Brattleboro. So I really think unless somebody has a bad thing, I really would like to see us, like we did with Act 46, appoint a committee of SU board members to approach all the other districts and just see if we could have a conversation. So go ahead.
Yeah, so Rich, I'm in complete agreement with that. I happen to have been in the Senate yesterday when they were discussing this. Senator Ruth Hardy, actually she's a House member, I think, who is one of the people who's been very influential in writing the law, which has yet to be voted out, spent a lot of time describing the merging process and who you would be encouraged to sit and meet with. And she spent a lot of time clarifying that would be our choice to have. That she said there may be maps, but that if a town that's on a map wants to talk to other people, they encourage that, and it's not going to be difficult to say, well, slice me off of some arbitrary map. And so I think her point was exactly what yours is that these should be self-generated discussions, and they should be in the interests of the people who are on the ground, not some broader state authority. And another thing I think is very interesting is that it's mandatory that all districts will be part of a merger discussion committee, and there will be a facilitator, and that facilitator will be one of the entities that's going to be finding and qualifying those facilitators is the Vermont Learning Collaborative. So we are kind of here on the ground running with this whole merger process. So I was heartened to hear all of that, and I think it's right along the line of what you're saying, Rich, is that look around for your own what you think is best for you. Each district in the state should be doing that, and then entering into those conversations in good faith. And the towns are going to have to vote to merge, which is what we have been thinking all along wasn't going to happen. As it is right now, each town will have the option to say yes or no on a merge.
One of the versions I saw had, just like under Act 46, where you would have necessary towns and advisable towns. I think, so in West River, were there any advisable towns, or Windham was advisable?
Windham was advisable.
And we were advisable in the discussion
right.
with Dover and Wardsboro. I don't remember whether both of those towns were, but we
were.
We started in advisable just because we didn't want to disrupt the process later on. So everybody knew right from the beginning that we weren't going to, mess up another. If Dover and Wardsboro decided to merge, Marlboro being advisable didn't affect that one way or the other. So.
And again, the one thing with Act 46, which we don't know whatever comes out, was that you didn't have to change your structure. So if you were a K6 you didn't have to become a K-12, and if you were K-12, they couldn't force you to be a K-6 or a K-8. So again, we don't know what's going on. So what I was looking for, if it was okay with y'all, is I'd just like permission from the group to appoint a committee of members. And I think we'll just, we'll try to get a good cross section of people. It may be bigger than because it's obviously the group can't make any decisions, but they can talk to people. And it can be, we could do like a representative from each town that's in the district, or we can go by our school districts, or we can go by town, or we could just, y'all can look at me and say, I got enough meetings to go to and we don't need any more. So I'd be looking for some more input. I got Dan's. Go ahead, Fiona.
I like the idea, and I think it would be important to have every single town from West River, because the concern I have is if we are needing to merge as a unit versus not as a unit because of how geographically large we are. Like, I just think it would be important to have someone from every town on that committee.
Not just the West River towns, but all the towns in the SU.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else, Drew? Oh, and I'm sorry, Abby, I'll get to you in one sec. I called on you, I'm sorry. I didn't know if you...
I would agree. We had a conversation at our meeting a little while ago, and the needs, wishes, and desires of the town of Jamaica are very different than those of maybe Newfane. So I think it would be in the best interest of everybody for those town representatives to have those conversations.
Abby again? Abby, I'm sorry, is that you again? I can't see that far.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what came out yesterday was the districts were not going to be any smaller than 750 students. So that's a very concerning number. And as this moves forward, I truly hope, because of our geographical differences, that we realize how that's going to look and what's really going to work out best for everybody. That's a lot to process, and there are things that can happen sooner than later for some folks to ease how things can play out for the rest. But we've all, like I mentioned before, have lost schools, and I was hoping that there would be people running this board that have experienced that, because we need the grit. You guys are going to be under some heat, and I don't say I didn't try to save every single one of you from what's about to happen, but Leland and Gray's on the chopping block. And what is that going to look like for this board? What is that going to look like for everything? We've got a lot to figure out. So please keep your big thinking hats on, and we're all in this together.
Thank you, Abby. I'm gonna look. Leanne.
I was just raising my hand. I just had an
No,
I don't have any thoughts. No additional thoughts to add.
Okay, Al. Joe?
I think it's a great idea. I'll even volunteer myself.
Okay, Rachel?
That's a good idea.
Kate or Dwight, you guys good? I think they're the only ones, right? Business still has enjoyment.
Kurt.
Rich, let me just say one more thing, and that
Oh,
is,
hang on.
yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah,
Kate-
got somebody.
Kate and Dwight, you guys both good?
I guess, I just thought I had one little bit. I know that number 750 was thrown around. I think my understanding was that, you mentioned we have to join. Actually, these are voluntary mergers, we've been told, right? So, if a district decides not to merge, they have that option. However, if they have less than 750, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, if they have less than 750 students, they will essentially be put into a district. I think that's what they mean by the 750, if I heard that correctly, the way it's written now. The other thing to is not just the geographic area, but also the structure. So they don't, as far as I can see, the law doesn't differentiate between an SU or an SD. They call them union districts or something. They have this unique new name. So my understanding is it's still possible that the districts can be SUs if those groups decide to form in that fashion. So that's something else to consider when you're exploring these other other areas and other districts, and what their intention is and what type of structure they have.
So I did make a call before I came here. That's why I was a little bit late. That's why I was scared that it was later than I thought. And I did check, and the bill's in conference. So what happens when a bill comes out of conference, there are no amendments, there's no changes, you either vote it up or down. And what they're hearing, because only the 6 people in conference know exactly what's going on, is that there's going to be merger groups formed. And that you are going to be stuck, they're going to be put into merger groups. My question, nobody could tell me, is it by SU, is it by district, is it by town, is it by building? What, and nobody really knows, so we aren't going to know, but from what I've been told.
That's one of the things that they're discussing as well,
Right.
yes, yeah.
And one of the things I was told is that even if you get put into a merge, like say we got put into a merger district to just talk to Burlington and whatever's around that area, we can still voluntarily go to other groups and we can go ahead and we can try to form something.
Right, that's
Yeah.
true.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is when the group forms, let's say you get in that, how that's their structure is at that point when they form, what that looks like. It's still, to my opinion, or the way I read it, it's still up for debate whether if it's a district, then you have one vote in a larger board, or it's an SU structure that we have now.
So again, it's as always like when you're talking about the people in Montpelier, it's as clear as mud.
I agree.
Have another glass of Kool-Aid, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Kate, are you good?
I think anything we can do to stay informed and aware of everything, because it feels like every time we turn around, it's something different coming down from the groups in Montpelier. And it's tricky because, like, I think other people have mentioned it, but like we have school districts, but school districts don't always represent the need of the different towns in the district. If this is the new direction that Vermont's headed in, it's really, it's just really tricky. So I think anything we can do is amazing.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Dan, I'll let you wrap it up.
Okay, just a couple of things. They also do have provisions in there that allows districts smaller than 750, and I don't remember exactly how it's done. You can be small by, the couple of different terminologies in there. And I would say Emily Long is really our best contact here because she's not on that conference committee, but she's waiting right outside the doors to find out what's going on. Emily Kornheiser from Brattleboro is in that room, and I think when things are decided, we should hear about it fairly quickly, I would think, Kate. So everybody should pay attention to that. I myself am hopeful that they do not greatly change what came out of Senate yesterday.
Well, they're gonna.
Hopeful. I said I was hopeful, right?
Okay. I don't know if there's, Abby? There's somebody else? Just Abby. Go ahead, Abby.
So just to piggyback off what Dan just said, I did watch the committee yesterday, and Emily and Zoe Saunders both mentioned that the smaller districts within the SU are problematic. So that's what they said. It was not a very great feeling to hear. So there's a lot of work we're gonna have to do. Thanks.
They've been picking on us for years. So if everybody's good then, why don't we do this? Anybody who'd like to serve on this group from the SU board, put your name into Bob and just tell us what town you're from. It doesn't matter what district, but we'll get the towns and we'll just make sure that we have, if that's okay with people, and then we'll try to get a meeting set up, even if it's just a Zoom meeting. And we did, just if those of you that were here for Act 46, if you remember, we didn't make the superintendent get involved in those meetings. We did that, we ran those as just the board because we asked Bob to do a lot of meetings. So Bob would probably be really mad that we didn't invite him to every meeting, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind missing one or two.
And there will be facilitators at that point that are working with everyone who's in a merger
Assigned.
talk. Yes.
An assigned one, but we may have to do some of that on our own. So let's see how it goes. Again, Act 46 I thought worked out really well for us. We had some good group, you didn't like, I mean, I thought it wasn't bad.
It's
The
okay.
process wasn't bad, but it did take us over a year just to get to the groupings. And then it took us another year to get those groupings through. And, we had to do 2 votes. I don't remember if you guys had multiple votes or not. West River, this one. Okay, thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Regular board meeting schedule, Bob passed that out. Obviously, if things get really crazy, we'll have to add to that.
And this was developed in conjunction with the thing that's next on your list, which is the new budget approach. This does align with that.
Okay.
So, but I think we do need, because this is the actual official warning of those meetings, that we need the board to approve that.
Okay, so it doesn't mean that we can't have more meetings or we can't cancel meetings, but this helps us so people can plan ahead so they know when meetings are. So would somebody be willing to make a motion to approve the schedule as presented? Please.
This one,
Yes.
I'll make that motion to approve this.
Thank you, Rachel. Is there a second to that motion?
Sure.
Okay, Joe?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a motion by Rachel, a second by Joe. Again, it's not set in stone, but it gives the public a chance to kind of see when we're going to meet. We can add meetings or deduct meetings. Hang on one second. Rachel, you all good? Anything you want to say about it?
Looks
Joe?
good to me.
Go ahead, Drew.
So it doesn't look like the executive committee meetings are recordings around BCTV. Can we make that a priority?
So
They're
I
accessible to
post a
the public?
link to the Zoom recording in the minutes.
No, he's asking that if
So
we
you're
could,
asking to do that for all of those?
for the executive committee
There's
meetings
a
also.
single, because all the rest of them, people can go to BCTV and pull up our meeting, so.
They can do that remotely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If the board chooses to do that, sure. It's a cost associated, obviously, but.
I, for some reason, don't have my paper already. Okay, and Drew, you all set, sir? Anybody else?
Sorry, was that, you were asking for that to happen?
Yes.
So I'm just making that happen?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Done.
I think we should. I mean, if we're doing it for the other meetings.
Just wanted clarity.
Yeah.
All right.
You all set? Anybody else, comments? You all ready to vote? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Oh my gosh, our first unanimous vote. Yay! Hey, we got applause too. SU budget adoption process. So this is not set in stone. This is just for you to look at. I want to have some more discussions on this. We used to have 4 or 5 meetings to approve an SU budget when we were a 30-member board. Most of that was because we could never get enough people, as we talked about earlier. We started having the executive committee present the budget, approve a budget to be presented to the board. The board would have a couple meetings, vote on it. It started getting that we would have a meeting and nobody had any questions, and it just kind of went through. So we kind of just went with that for a while. The last couple of years, there's been some concern by some people on the budget. So I got thinking about it, and I told them that I really did take to heart their concerns, even though they'll argue that I probably didn't. So I did talk to Bob. I really did, Drew. I had many meetings that I had with you. So anyways, I just thought, I talked to Bob and I talked to the executive committee, and I kind of just went through it in my head. So I thought, it used to be that we would always have the budgets go to the individual boards after the executive committee, but before the full board, so that the full board can review it. But we started having to move some things around a little bit, because when we became districts versus, just towns, it used to be really easy. Everybody's budget except for Leland and Gray's. I think Leland and Gray used to be like the month before town meeting or something, but it was a floor vote. I don't remember it being a public. But so some things have changed. So this is just, again, I presented this, we talked about this briefly a couple meetings ago, and then, obviously other things came up. So I'd like people to look at this, and I'd like to really talk about it at our next meeting, which it looks like, pardon? We don't have a full board meeting scheduled. but I'm hoping that the policy committee and the group that's gonna look at those policies will have something for us to look at. So I'm thinking maybe the end of August, we can have a meeting, and then we can also finalize a budget proposal. So if you have any comments on this, if you would just send them to Bob, and then Bob will compile them, and then we can bring it forth. We can talk about it in an executive committee meeting, then we'll bring it forth to the full board. Drew, I think oh, he's smiling, so, but go ahead, Fiona.
So I'm a little confused. You're asking us to look at this and
Yes.
send our thoughts to the executive committee?
No, to Bob.
To Bob.
Right, and he'll compile them. So if you have any questions or comments or any thoughts, maybe, and again, this is not like set in stone.
Uh-huh.
It was my brainstorm to just bring to everybody to say, what do you like and don't like about it?
When do we need that information?
I'll probably say by the end of July.
Okay.
Does that work for everybody? I know you and I had a couple
Yeah.
quick conversations, so.
Can I make a quick comment?
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see us change the way that we adopt our budget so that we present to the local boards, but we don't finalize our WCSU adopted budget until the school districts are done adopting their budget. That way we don't have to go through the process of asking to reopen because the rules have changed. So if the WCSU could present to the boards this is what we believe the budget's going to look like on this timeline, but the final vote, we wait until all of the school boards have approved their budgets. That way, if something comes up, we're not putting the cart before the horse. I don't think it changes anything. I think, it just makes it easier than having to go through that, well, we can't reopen the budget, and now it's kind of a big deal. But we can still have numbers for local town school budgeting because we've worked through it, but yet it's not a final number until the local budgets are done. That'd be my recommendation.
Okay, can I just comment on that quick?
You're the chair, man.
Well, it's your comment. Just, we used to do, we started that with that fee-for-service budget because that would give people the ability, like towns in one year had their budget voted down when it was separate districts. And they had agreed to do some things in the fee-for-service. I don't remember what it was, maybe, I think Al was around, but it gave them, so that's why we stopped approving the fee-for-service. The problem we had was we started losing staff members because they won't know until after contracts are supposed to be back sometimes. So again, that's definitely something to consider. I just, sometimes you have issues because staff gets nervous, they don't know what's going on. But that's definitely something we should talk about. But again, we have a lot on the agenda. We can spend more time on it. It's up to you guys. You guys decide what we want to do, but you also get to decide how late we stay. So, but I think there can be some adjustment to that. And I know you guys changed when you vote. West River changed because you guys used to always be Wheelan and Gray, and the West River group drove it because you had the earliest budget votes. Marlboro has always been town meeting. I think Stratton and Windham are town meeting, and then River Valley doesn't vote till May. So, but again, I don't think us, I can't speak for the whole board, but I don't think it really affects us that much. So, even though we're the second largest contributor to the budget, it's not a huge percentage of our budget, as long as we have numbers in there so we have an idea. Did you?
Yeah.
Somebody? Oh, go ahead, Dan.
I was just concerned that, Drew, the example you give, we wouldn't be able to vote on a WCSU budget now. We would not be able to vote on it because your district hasn't approved its budget yet. So what would that, like Rich pointed out, what about the employees of the central supervisory?
My recommendation would be until the board adopted its first, not waiting until the end, but until the board was done presenting its budget.
That would be in January.
It'd be
sometime.
late January.
This is the budget we're gonna present to our voters, not wait for it to get approved, but this is what we think. And that includes the amount for the WCSU. Gotcha.
And again, there's a lot of back and forth, and we need to be able to play with dates a little, because every year, Thanksgiving sometimes is early or late, and then, the holidays, and also school vacation affects us, how we can, usually sometimes meet holidays. But I think it was a good start, but again, Fiona, to your question, this wasn't an end all be all, it was just kind of some thoughts and then
Right.
to hopefully get everybody else to think a little bit.
My concern is that if we're looking at how to change the budget process, we don't meet as a group until, well, we have the retreat in October, but as the full board until December.
I said, we'll probably have to have a special meeting, we'll probably
Okay.
do something in like
Got it.
September.
Okay.
That's why we get the stuff to Bob.
Perfect.
I'm hoping that the policy committee is gonna be able to meet and kind of discuss how the executive committee, the rest of the full board works, and we can put all that together, so we may have to have a few more special meetings.
Got
But,
it. Missed that.
yeah, but again, then we'll, it's always hard because there's always somebody that wants to go that can't, but we'll try to work on that. And to what you were going somewhere, maybe we wanna have an SU board meeting every other week. We can piggyback with that. So, again, we'll try to make it work for everybody. You all set? Okay, thank you. Budget, designate location for posting agendas, so we have to do that legally, we usually post them at all our schools, at Windham Central Office and all the town clerk's offices. Is everybody good with that? Right, go ahead.
I would like them to be posted on Front Porch Forum.
Yeah, I don't know if we do that, because we don't control that, so we can send it, but we can't force people to post it. We had that issue before.
What do you mean? If you put something in Front Porch Forum, it is posted. There's no,
Okay, I can't post anything on Front Porch Forum,
why?
because I don't partake in it.
What we've done at West River
Yeah.
is that we have designated an employee of West River who will be posting them on behalf of West River.
Okay.
Correct? Is that right,
I
Bob?
just,
SU,
Oh, right,
that's my executive assistant.
yes, your executive assistant, so we could, wouldn't it be just as easy to do that for,
Yeah, I mean, it's
for
sort
this
of,
board?
I think there's a distinction between what's the official posting and then what we're doing additionally to try to promote more communication. So, like, I don't think West River made that an official posting site, but we do it to support better communication. So I don't know if that, there's a difference, I think. The official, there's a statutory physical locations
Oh, got it, I see.
that are in statute, you get to do two or three physical locations.
But we do all the
But we do
schools
much more
and
than
the
that,
town
physical
clerk's
locations,
office.
because we hit all the towns, all the schools. So we've met the statutory requirement. Anything we do in addition, I think is just gravy. So,
And we do Front Porch Forum in Marlboro too, but it's just
Also
more people
notified.
find it there than they
Right.
ever do anywhere else.
So I'm just suggesting that we do that additional too.
Because there was
I like
something
that.
during Act 46 that we tried to get something on some site and they couldn't do it, we couldn't prove because we don't control that. Where like Bob's an admin person sends to all the admin people in all the buildings and to the town clerks, and then they reply that they're posted, so we can confirm that they were at least posted there.
you have a question on that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Abby, go ahead.
Yes, so Bob was 100% correct. The electronic posting has nothing to do with statute. As much as I do like the additional idea of Front Porch Forum, the way it is divided to be a part of Front Porch Forum has a different kind of, so Windham is part of like Chester and Athens on it. It's not, it doesn't necessarily, depending on which community on Front Porch Forum you belong to. So that would just be considered, if it is going to be electronic version, to just make sure it's able to be posted at the other ones that would encompass the towns that are in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody good? Yeah, we call it also notify. We could do an also notify.
So you need a motion?
I was just gonna do it by unanimous consent, so if nobody objects, we'll just do that, and we'll also try to get it out wherever we can. Okay. Thank you, Drew. And Fiona. Agree on the use of Robert's Rules of Order. We pretty much by statute are required to use Robert's Rules, but sometimes people put it in there, so does anybody have a problem with using Robert's Rules of Order? Does anybody know Robert? He's old. Okay, by unanimous consent, we'll kind of move that one forward. Discuss, adopt, sign VSB Code of Ethics. We've never done it at the SU level because we always do it at the local board level, and we can't force people to do it. But if we could just have the local chairs, the SU, the individual district chairs, just let Bob know. Do we give them to you, or do we just?
I mean, yes, the board chairs will keep them. We have, I think I have the West River ones in my
I
office.
probably gave yours too from that.
You might have, yeah.
So,
One of my agendas.
yeah, so is it in the, it's not in the packet, is it?
We didn't link it in this time because we knew it had already been linked with all the district boards already had them. Yeah.
In years past, we've posted ours in Leland and Gray's lobby. You know, like the board agrees, the board has signed this and agrees to abide by it.
Yeah, you wanna do it,
I mean, West River has,
yeah, and I know River Valley has it. Do you know if, Abby, did Windham sign it? Do you have your board members in Windham sign it?
Yes.
Okay, so you got Windham, Calvert, Stratton used to sign them, right? I know you're not on the board now, but.
Huh?
Does Stratton sign them?
I think they did, yeah. I sent it to Melissa.
And Marlboro signs it?
Oh, yeah.
I have
I
no
don't know, we
recollection
had
of
that
it,
discussion, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, can
Maybe.
you
I can
just
send
talk
them to
to,
you guys too.
Yeah, I guess if you would, yeah.
especially a
we'll take
former
peek at-
VSBA board member for that number of
Yeah.
years.
They weren't always thrilled with me up there, so.
They didn't like me. And then another thing we have to do is we have to designate an official newspaper to put legal notices in, like when, Al gets served with a lawsuit. So, we've always used the Brattleboro Reformer. Like, again, if you want to go into what you said, like at River Valley, because the Deerfield Valley News is a paper a lot of people see. We don't make that the official paper because it's a weekly, so sometimes if you need to get something in a hurry, the dates don't work, but we also say also notify. But I think we've only done the Reformer here because we're only required to do one paper. Does anybody, I don't really think there's another paper, is there?
we use the Commons too.
You do use it?
That's
That's
also,
an
that's
also
also
notified.
weekly, that's also
Well,
weekly.
Yeah, it's an also
So
notified.
why don't we do, if everybody's okay, just because we're trying to get the word out, unless anybody's got a major issue. Abby, give me one sec. Let's do the Reformer and the Commons and the Deerfield Valley News. I think those are the three major papers. Go ahead, Abby.
The shopper also
The what?
registered. The shopper.
Shop. I'm sorry. Shopper.
Shopper.
What is it?
I think it's out of Londonderry, is that right, Abby?
I believe so.
Can you just get a copy of it, look at it, and send like the header to Bob so he can see it? Please. Did she go away?
She's doing it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Everybody good with that? Anybody upset with that? Cool. Hey, guess what, guys? We got through the reorganization. Now we go into the heart of the meeting. So, any changes from the board on the agenda? Anybody in TV land have any changes to the agenda? Bless you. Okay, members of the public, so folks, I'm really having a tough time to see today. So I'm gonna try really hard. Chrissy Haskins, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you. Chrissy Haskins from Jamaica. A few comments for the board. Just listening to your discussion so far tonight, I just want to ask about public involvement in discussions about future mergers. I understand it would be a lot to involve the public in all the meetings that this board might have about future mergers, but there do need to be public meetings where the public can provide actual input and have discussions, not just making comments and asking questions and not getting a response, but actual back and forth discussions. And it needs to be more than one meeting. If there is an opportunity for community members to be brought into more regular meetings, I would be happy to volunteer for Jamaica. Two, I heard a little bit ago in this meeting that Emily Long is a good resource for the SU and a direct contact to the legislature for the board. I do encourage this board not to rely 100% on Emily for information from the state. She has one opinion and interpretation of what's going on, but there are other opinions, ideas that we should also be hearing and considering. Please keep an open mind as we move into the next process. It's going to be tough. And I think we're going to see a lot of towns in our SU wanting to go in different directions. We need to keep in mind what is in the best interests of the students from each town, not each district, not our whole SU, each town, and not what the state wants or what specific legislators want, or just dragging the entire district or SU along because of some previously approved district boundary that is no longer working. And 3, just an administrative note, your website, the board members for WCSU need to be updated. It's no longer current. I did mention that to Bob yesterday, but I just wanted to officially mention it on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Chrissy. I'm gonna go around. I've missed somebody, but if I don't get to you, please let me know. I got Keegan Eaker. Eaker.
That's me. I have nothing to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a Joni B? Is it Joni or
Joni.
Joni B?
I have nothing to share.
Okay, thank you. Rosie? No, Rosie O'Donnell?
Rory.
Rory, I'm sorry. I can't even read my own handwriting. Yeah.
I made that mistake before. I'm just here to listen. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. And remember, I don't intentionally butcher names. Michael Pelton?
I just wanted to reiterate, and I won't go into it too awful much, but I submitted correspondence, and I think that it's important that the supervisory union, the local districts, and the administration really internalize what's going on in our communities. There's a huge transparency issue. There's a huge issue with budgeting. And there are some serious concerns that local towns are not really allowed to really voice their concerns. They're not happy. There are at least 3 towns that I'm aware of that are seriously trying to figure out how to get out. That's a problem. And I know that in 3 years we'll have answers because theoretically there might or might not be mergers, but I think that it's important that the supervisory union, if it wants to exist in some way, shape, or form, really takes that to heart and starts thinking about how it can communicate with its electorate. We saw 2 budget failures at the WRED, and I would argue, based on the information that I heard, that it had nothing or very little to do with the actual numbers that were presented, but it had more to do with a perception and a feeling about what's happening at the administrative level. That's a huge problem. And I know and I realize that the boards won't do anything because the can will get kicked because we know that the state's going to come in and save the day. But that's not the answer. The answer is to shore up our resolve, communicate with our electorate, understand what their actual needs and wants are, and to actually do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Chris May from the Reformer. Speaking of the Reformer.
I'm all set. Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Chris. Kate Reed.
I'm all set.
Thank you, Kate. I have Kathy. I don't know if I have a last name or couldn't spell it.
Kathy Edgerly.
Kathy E. Edgerly. Kathy, if you have anything you want, we'll come back to you. Dana A.
It's Dana Quadro.
Oh, it's
Staff.
Staff.
Yep.
Well, members of the public, members of the staff. Dana, anything from you? Kind of like public. I have a Philip.
T. Phillips. Taggart.
T. Phillips.
Just listening, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sarah Kiefer?
Nothing for now, thanks.
Okay, Dale Sherman?
Just listening.
Thank you, Dale. Megan's iPhone. You tell us who you are to your last name.
I think it might be Crystal's. Crystal's iPhone.
Oh, Crystal? It says Crystals?
Yes.
Sorry, Crystal. I have Crystal's iPhone, but I also had a Megan's iPhone.
There was one earlier.
Oh, that one's gone. See, don't tell me that I'm all crazy. Just partially.
At least I saw it. Maybe we both made it up. But,
Okay, at least two of us saw it. Drew's laughing too at me.
With you.
Yeah, okay, you believe that. LaPlante, Kenzie LaPlante? Stephanie?
So just listening.
Okay, thank you. Carrie Toll?
I'm hoping to hear the board's response to the letters that are listed in correspondence.
Okay, thank you. And Michelle? Is somebody else met?
Michelle Harchie is our new Director of Student Services. She's here to be introduced at later agenda.
Okay. Hi, Michelle. Do you have anything you want to say? Or are you going to talk?
Nothing to add yet.
Saving it all for later. Meredith Block, I kind of bounced over you. I'm sorry about that. You have anything for us?
I'm good, Rich, thanks.
Okay, Dan was looking out for you. There's a couple people, Dana and Kat. Oh, Dana and Kathy, I think I called them both of you, but neither answered. You one more chance?
Joe's iPhone too.
Okay, that's him. Okay, and I got Joe's iPhone. I totally missed. Sorry, Joe.
Hi, it's Joe Hall. I'm just listening.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Okay, so I think we got everybody. Okay, new business, superintendent's update.
I'm Kaya.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm New Fame. Nice to see you guys. First thing I wanted to say is,
Hey, Kaya, before you say anything, yell at all them too, because I was keeping track of this. It was their job to keep track of
I
you.
mean, you walked by, I went over there,
I
sat
sat
there,
talked
wrote
to
everyone's
you.
names down, walked around, you sat
I
here,
shared my
talked to
candy
me,
with you.
shared your candy. I just want to say that my name is spelled wrong in the minutes for the previous things. It's Kiya. As in the minutes, it's written Kaia. It's totally wrong. Just wanted to put that out for you guys. I appreciate having the questions typed up and everything that I had asked from the previous meetings. But I still don't quite understand and it doesn't say here if any of these other positions are student facing. Because I don't know that I've really seen the superintendent in the schools doing anything with students, reading books to them or anything. I don't know that the other positions do, like the executive director of teaching and learning, the director of student services. I believe I saw her name somewhere that I'm pretty sure she might. And then like the director of social emotional learning, equity and wellness, had it all in there. And the director of curriculum. Like I see that these have, big, huge paragraphs of what their roles are, but I don't know that they are student facing. And I was just curious on that part of it because I feel like that'd be an important thing. Like, yes, you are doing our curriculum, you are doing the, social emotional learning, equity and wellness of our students, but are you interacting with the children with any of this? And another question is for the director of social emotional learning and equity and wellness, like, are there any programs or things that they are implementing with the students that lost out on a lot of social advancement in their early education years because of COVID? That I know some of those students still have issues, socially, and they didn't have a lot of social interactions for kindergarten and first grade, and I know some of the other students, in those ages as well. So that was just like, do they specifically talk to the students? Do they just sit in an office and say, okay, this is what you guys can do with the students? So yeah, those were kind of my questions that I had, in addition to have a couple answers, but still had some. And then I feel like I had another question, but
Well, let me
there was a lot of
Let me just
paperwork.
say that Bob's gonna review that in a couple minutes, so hopefully all your questions will be answered.
Okay, thank you.
And if you have one more, do you remember what it is?
I haven't, I did wanna, I was reading through the executive summary for the business office operational review. I found that awesome, but I also was kind of curious because in one of the things, the paragraph under, let's see, it's the third paragraph under personal statement from consultant, it says for an SU of approximately 600 to 700 students and roughly a 30 to 35 million budget. Is that ours that she's referencing? Because I keep hearing a $15,000 or $15 million budget, so I was just curious if that's us. But also, with those numbers and like the amount of students we have, like I would really like to see a comparison on the executive positions that we have at the SU in comparison to other districts of similar sizes and what their people's experience versus salaries is comparison to. Because yes, I can see, you can look at something and says, oh, well, this person makes, $150,000. Well, are they have 5 years experience? Do they have 10 years experience? What's their experience in? Are they educated enough for that position? Because then you have, what is their education, gives them experience. So where does that all file into how much they're actually making? And, what of that is public knowledge to help our public understand and agree on paying someone, obscene amounts of money? When we in fact, have a budget that we were trying to limit, and then we still have to pay, all these extra things. So those are my things.
Thank you. Okay, new business superintendent's update. So Kyle, I'm really sorry. I did sit back there with you, but you were hiding.
Hiding from who?
From my sight.
I'm straight ahead, man.
All right, so there's definitely a few elements of the superintendent's report I want to review, but I'm going to start with a few introductions. Sitting here to my right is Jen McCusick, Dr. Jen McCusick. She is our Executive Director of Teaching and Learning. That is a new position this year following the reorganization of the central office administration. And she had previously been the curriculum director here in the district for
It's my 10th year?
10th year in the SU, yeah. So she's been on this for a while, and this is a new position this year. Just a quick reminder for folks, the MTSS reorganization that we did, we had a consultant come in and analyze our systems from academic, behavioral, the SEL side to figure out what we were doing well and where we had gaps. That assessment was done 2 years ago now.
I thought it was 3.
Last year. I don't remember. It was done last year or two because it's only my 3rd year. And I think it was after my 1st year. And so the SU board at that time agreed to restructure the administrative positions. At that time, we eliminated administrative position as part of our restructuring. Jen was hired on as the executive director to oversee sort of the MTS side of the academic side of the operations. And that included a special ed director or a director of student services, who was also here, I'll introduce in a moment. That included a new curriculum director to replace her, and it included a restructuring of the former equity coordinator job to a director of SEL, so that we would ensure that element of our systems were in line. And I'll say this, I'm going to turn over to Jen to say a little bit more about what the team has done this year, but one of the things that we heard a lot from staff and we hear a lot from principals was that the behaviors of kids in schools been really troubling. And we've heard anecdotes here in board meetings about that as well. And so really thinking proactively about how we address those SEL needs of students and how we have systems to support them proactively and reactively in our schools in a way that makes sense, what are the programs, the curricula that we're using to really think that through. That part of our triangle had really been neglected over the years because we had really focused a lot of attention on the academic side, and Jen had really built that up. So that was part one. Part two was that there were a lot of silos created between special ed and general ed, which were getting in the way of having advancement of our system in a way that would help kids. And so by having this restructuring, it allowed for those silos to be broken down. We know that we hired a new director of special education at the start of the year as this team took flight, and then that person resigned mid-year. And we have with us on Zoom at least Michelle Harchie, who has been here about 3 weeks, but she's a former WCSU employee. She was the assistant director of student services under Stephanie several years ago before she left to go work at the AOE and a couple other things. She's back with us in the director role, so I wanted to allow Jen and Michelle to introduce herself, say a little about who she is and what she believes, and for Jen to kind of give an update on what this team has done over the course of the year to really report out on that investment that the SU board has made. So.
Great. So, hi, Jen McKusick, nice to see all of you again. I'm going to be very brief. Bob gave a great introduction to the restructuring, and I think you say 10 years, and I realize, fun fact that we figured out this last week is that I am the longest standing district SU central office person. Like Heidi has more experience and Bob has more experience in the districts as a whole, but I am now the veteran, which feels, I have mixed emotions when you started out being the young one and now you're not so much anymore. So I think one of the major things that has happened with the restructuring is what Bob alluded to, is that Stephanie Beatty Hancock and I, and before that Abby Dillon and I worked together, but we were working kind of separately, and we would have our own worlds, our own budgets, our own time, and then we brought on an equity coordinator, and so Lindsay Turgeon Brown was doing that work, but we were never really connected and focused on the same vision. And I think the things that have changed this year is by having us all be together, we're able to look at all sides of the kid, right? All sides of the work that's happening in our schools. And the two examples I'll give today, and then I'll answer questions or whatever you want to hear, but the two examples I think of the work we've been doing that is just very recent. So we meet together as a team today. We spent time together today as a team. We have a student issue at one of our schools. The student's having an incredibly challenging time. So the director of student support services, the director of SEL, the director of curriculum, and myself, we sat and we brainstormed different things that we could do. We looked at all pieces of family, social, what's happening in the community, what's happening academically. We looked at how we could supply some work for the student to have a tutor, who can go in to do behavior, can we pull in the VSBA, what can we do for a 504 plan, could we have an EST plan, what could happen? And we left that meeting with like, okay, you're gonna call the principal, you're gonna be in the school tomorrow, I'll follow up on this. And we've been able to do that this year in a way we've never been able to do before. Because sometimes you get those problems, and I would be the director of curriculum, and it's like, this student is okay in ELA and in language arts class, but they're behaviorally, they can't access it. Well, whose is that? And you, like, inadvertently played hot potato, even though you didn't mean to. So like, we're now able to form this kind of response to immediate student needs and go in as a team and then bring our work together. So I think that's like an example to me of like, it's a small thing in some ways, but the question about direct student facing, that's how we work. And depending on our role in the situation, we're in schools at different times and different modalities. The other example that I'll give that really talks about this, speaks to this collaboration, later on, I think next week Bob's gonna send out the letter about when the PD dates are and the work we're doing and all of that for next year. For the first time, I feel like we did pretty good with PD. I mean, I was in charge of it for a long time, so I mean, we did all right. But like moving forward, like next year, we have responsive classroom connected to, which is all about behavior and having kids connected, and some of those kids that haven't quite come back from COVID yet, have learned some of the norms. Established as values that we've been working all year about what are our values as schools and what do we want to work towards. And then sorry for jargon, for education jargon, but universal design for learning, which is really what are the best practices? What are great things you can do in the classroom every day to differentiate instruction, to connect kids, to keep them engaged? And so that's our focus of the year. But what we're able to do is next year, teachers are going to have choice for what types of workshops they want to take under this umbrella. There's going to be sub-blocks of how we do different teams, different schools for grade levels for how they're doing responsive classroom. Throughout the half days, either Michelle or David and me, or David, I don't have to outcome this, sorry, I get pedantic. We are all doing different workshops throughout the year. And then we're offering for the first time, and Bob helped us support this as well, out to support paraeducators. We're finally getting, for me, that's been a gap. And we haven't been able to train our paraeducators because they haven't been on the contract those days, or they haven't been available that afternoon, or we didn't have a set way, or they're only special ed. So now we're coming across as like this whole approach. Our academic support teachers, which have been under the director of curriculum, and our special educators who have been obviously under special ed, are now blending, and they're an intervention team, and we're providing support for them and training for them and meeting, and we're scheduling for next year. So one scenario sharing, like that's a case by case with kids, and then the bigger picture of how we're working together as a district to really approach all of our schools and support for everyone and move us forward. And I think it feels, when we're together, it's really invigorating because we know that we're like headed somewhere and we can see that vision and working together towards it. And just as an aside, I just finished a class, workshop class, whatever it's called, V.S.A. thing. And we talk about what we've been doing. And to a person, school district's like, how did you do it? You restructured, you're doing what? And you're using NextPath as data and how you're doing your PD? How'd you do that? You know, and it's like, yeah, call us. Like, we'll tell you our failures, we're gonna tell you our successes. So I just, don't forget to shine, right? WCSU, don't forget to shine, because we are doing some really great stuff. So that is basically my quick overview of MTSS. Glad to go into details because my brain goes that way, but I'm trying to look at the clock and be supportive of that. And I want to make sure Michelle has.
Yes, Michelle, why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but Michelle Harchie, you might remember me. I remember several of you in the room. So I worked at Townsend Elementary as a special educator a while back, then in a special education coach role, assistant director, little stint at the AOE. I got to look behind the curtain and really understand the legislative process, and I'm really happy to be back here. I've worked in a couple states, a case manager, educational evaluator, all of the roles that we support and when we're supporting teachers and students and families. But I'm also finishing a doctoral program in social emotional academic learning. And really one of the reasons I came back, besides because I love the community and really wanted to be reconnected with everyone, is because of the innovation in the MTSS model. You know, I'm seeing the cutting edge of educational research, talking to colleagues across the country in this space. And what we're doing is necessary. You know, I believe in it. I believe in this team. Just shout out to Dana, who, if he's still on the call, but the transformation I've seen, even just with the middle school team and how they've gelled, is incredible because we've added some of these actions and really strategic, planful things to our system. Since being back, it's about 30 days. As you can imagine, with a little bit of a gap in the leadership, there are a lot of things to handle, but I've been focused on really doing a forensic review of our staffing model. I do have experience in the corporate world, business IT, before becoming an educator. So just looking at where we're spending money, evaluating summer services, making sure that we're fully staffed. All of that is happening right now. Looking at our evaluation model and making sure that we have a plan going forward. And then just supporting the system, supporting the recent changes that have happened and talking to our teachers and students and working with principals to support them with things that are happening with students. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm really happy to be here and Thanks for these few minutes here.
Thanks, Michelle. So we wanted to try to give you guys an update. We're gonna try to, I think, do that more periodically so that folks know what's going on with this team, because there's obviously been a lot of conversation about administration and salaries and all that. And I want to assure you, reassure you regularly that what you're investing in is actually having a pretty significant return for kids, support for staff in the buildings, and as these guys both said, in their conversations with people around the state and the country, it's cutting edge. What we're doing is something that other people want to know how to do. And it isn't rocket science. We just came up with a model, help with support from a consultant to talk about how to break down those barriers, get the benefit of Acts 173 that we can around blending those special ed monies with gen ed monies, and going to town and making it better for kids. So that's the dream.
Well, Drew, just before he ends, can you also just review this, because there's a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, so this is related to this. This document that Kaya was mentioning, Kaya with an I, that is, was mentioning.
And a Y.
Sure, well, of course. This was the request of some information that came up at the previous meeting around some of the administrators' salaries, and I've highlighted some of the ones. It was asked to be the top. Originally it was the top 4, then it got expanded to top 5. And so I've listed those here. And then also, just as a comparison, listed that the highest paid teacher on the West River WCSU contract, if adjusted beyond the 185 days, would be making about 125. So as you can see, there's really only 2 administrators that are making more than that. And as you've heard, we have, one of them has her doctorate. One of them is another one who's not above it, but just below it is finishing her doctorate. Jen and I together have 65 years in public education. I mean, so yes, you're paying for that level of experience and a level of education. And typically when you end up as an administrator, principal, or a central office administrator, you're people that have gone through all of those things. And so, I think this is year 33 for me, or 32 for me, in public education, between teaching and principaling and
29.
All that, 29 for you. So, so that is, these salaries are higher than, probably what a lot of people make around in the community, but it is commensurate with the experience and the education that the folks in them have. And you can see that many of them are below what a teacher's prorated contract would be. And that's not trying to throw shade at the teachers, just trying to illustrate that there are people who are working for less than a per diem rate that the teachers are working for. So just wanted to highlight that because it's really important to make that note. There's some information on here that had to do with some of the revenue adjustments that was asked about. So I put a few bullet points there. And so I don't know if you'll have questions about those. I did highlight the census block grant. This is what came out of after 173, but it became a block grant instead of the reimbursement model. Since FY23, our number has been reduced by $700,000. So that's just that one block grant. That's not the titles, those have other numbers, but all of these revenue sources keep going down, which is part of, we talked about this as we developed our budget, what's driving up the cost to the districts, because more local money is needed. There are questions about curriculum that I tried to answer on here. So EL, which is the third one listed, is our K-8 literacy program, and that addresses literacy, obviously, but we also have a separate phonics program, which historically has been foundations. This year we had a pilot program where we did some comparison of using UFly in certain classrooms around the SU with volunteer teachers and compared those results, and the leadership team made a decision that those results were favorable and that they are moving to UFly as a SU for next year to replace that, and it happens to also be cheaper. That wasn't part of the decision, it was about the results, but it is cheaper as well. And then below what I've listed is really, I'll be honest, these are AI generated summaries of job descriptions. So I took our job descriptions that exist for these positions, threw them into AI and said, summarize these into a paragraph. And this is what came out. So I didn't spend a ton of time doing this, but I wanted you to have a sense of what these positions do. And director of curriculum was not one of the ones in the top 5, but I listed it at the bottom as well, so people understood that too. And then finally, at the very bottom is the new structure, where you can see Jen in the yellow is the head of the academic side of the operation, with Matt, Greg, and Heidi, sort of the operational side, and then principals and the instructional side of the Brown. So that was the new reorg chart. I've shared that before, but
Yeah,
it's been
but
updated.
also the question was how many of these people face students?
So how many of these people face students? So, I mean, if you look at, so I don't know, actually, so Heidi's not on here because she was not in the top 5, but she clearly doesn't face students. I have very minimal direct impact with students. Jen has, I would say, minimal impact with face-to-face opportunities with students.
Yeah, just when I'm in the classrooms. I'll
Where
say
she's
hello
doing
and
walkthroughs and things like that.
Chat with kids here and there.
Other than that, I would say Michelle has more. David, as the Director of Social Emotional Learning, Equity and Wellness, certainly has a lot more. He's works with the equity team here at Leland and Gray. And Renee would be similar as the Director of Curriculum, again, in classrooms and going around and supporting teachers. These folks are also often involved with the data teams that are not student-facing. They're in the buildings, but they're making the decisions around what happens with students and their interventions. So, not to mention the team approach, just the problem solving and the intervention stuff. I know there's been a few problems recently in a couple different buildings, and David and Michelle have both been in classrooms with kids supporting some real challenging behavior just this week, in fact. So they are very student-facing. So that answers that. And then Matt, of course, as the Director of Technology, is student-facing in the sense that he's in this building and he interacts with kids who come into the IT office. But the job isn't really, designed to be student-facing. Does that answer your questions?
Well, and two more too, because again, it's a lot of new people on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Explain what you mean by when you prorate a teacher's salary too, and because I don't know if everybody understands that. And also, if you would, you said a couple people do face students. Can you just give a rough percentage? Nothing that anybody, please don't hold these against them. These are kind of off the cuff.
Sure. So the teacher thing first, so teachers are paid on a 185-day contract. And so if you take their salary divided by 185, that sort of gives them a per diem rate. If you multiply that by 260, which is a typical year-round type situation, that gives you an estimated dollar amount that would be if the teachers worked, throughout the summer and year-round. That would be their pay.
So these 5 people work.
So administrators, well, not all exactly 260, but they have varying levels of that, different things. But certainly the higher up ones all have 260 contracts and are working year-round, and several of the principals do as well. So. That was what was just the attempt to illustrate that, the salaries are higher than what people might expect to see, but when you compare them dollar for dollar on a per diem basis, it's actually pretty commensurate with what some of our higher veteran teachers are making. So, and sometimes less.
And then percentages.
So the percentages, geez, I don't even know how to calculate that. I would say,
Again, nothing that people, please don't hold them. This is kind of off the cuff.
I'm gonna guess that David is maybe the highest one.
He's in schools almost every day.
Yeah, and
at least for part of the day.
And how much time he's actually either one-on-one or small group with kids. I mean, a third of his time. I don't really know to be that. And he's probably the highest, and so it would probably go down from there.
Okay.
So,
Drew, you had your hand up. I just wanted to finish that. Go ahead.
So what data are you using to measure? Because if we're looking at student performance, we haven't seen any. Hey, we're improving. What are we using to measure the changes that we've implemented?
In the last few months? Or
No, in the last
year over
years. Yeah, so we haven't been provided any indication that the students are doing any better. We're not seeing we're hearing about challenges in classroom and behaviors that are getting worse. So we're not hearing that anything that we're doing is improving. So what are we measuring? How do we know that we're doing better?
I'm gonna let you answer that, but before I do that, I'm gonna actually offer that we have at a future meeting, Renee come with Samson, who's our data person, to share out not only the tool we use, but to be able to understand how that data is used, what it leads to, and so on and so forth. And he'll be able to present, I think, to us some data that would show what has happened, either good or bad or different in that process. But I think the two of them would be a good tag team to present that data. They started if you remember at the October retreat, they shared a little bit of a glimpse into what this program Next Path that she referenced. But it's really an incredibly powerful data tool that we're using to collect a bunch of different types of student data in one place so we can really support the kid one-on-one. So I'll let her answer if she has other measures right now, but I think in a future meeting, we should have them come and present.
I would echo what Bob said about having them come and present. The local comprehensive assessment system, we call it the LCAS, is we have benchmark assessments that we use three times a year, but also through those data meetings, we progress monitor kids either every week or every 2 weeks to see the progress that they're making after we set goals for kids who aren't at grade level. So that's our main metrics we use. We have the Vermont Comprehensive Assessment Program, the VIII, but that's a summative. It's once a year. I don't know that is the best data. So we use our local data, which is criterion referenced and norm reference based. So it's yes for academics for this piece. So we can share all those data with you and that metric for sure. We use panorama data to look at social emotional learning behavior, which is really just we're getting more solid under David's direction with that this year. It was a little catch as catch can last year, but the academic data I can show you those metrics pretty easily. And just to give you a background, it's Ames Web Plus, it's STAR 360. We've moved away from predictive assessment of reading because the program doesn't exist anymore. So we're moving to a different program next year, but we have longitudinal data that goes back multiple years to show you that growth. We did hit a dip, definitely.
The reason I ask is because I've had a handful of citizens printing data from somewhere going, your school sucks, these trends are downward, right? And that keeps getting put in, and I have nothing to...
We need to do a better job.
Yeah, I can't say anything other than, yep, that trend line is down. So if we're doing something and we're turning that around, like it's not showing up in any of the public facing data that keeps getting pushed in front of me as a school board member going, why is it that our trends are going down? We're investing tons and tons of money, but we haven't seen anything.
Yep.
Yeah. We don't do a great job of that, of sharing that out. We really don't. And so people rely on what they see online, which is the VIII, which is the state assessment.
Or the school report card, which is this.
Well, and all those function of the AOE.
And all those trend lines are down.
Well, I mean, yes, and the other add to that story is that the AOE has been acknowledging that their entire data system is not functioning correctly, and that they have to redo their entire assessment program. And they're looking for support. We actually volunteered Samson, our data guy, to help them because he's brilliant and it's really powerful. But yeah, so they've acknowledged, although less public than the pushing out of the data, that they've had some problems with their data, going back to some formulas from 2017 or something that didn't equate right. They were averaging averages of averages and whatever. So yeah, you can look at that. It's unfortunately the only thing that's out there. We need to do better making sure there's more out there.
And I just want to say as we finish, not to belabor the point, but we will share with you, but do understand we protect student identity and confidentiality, and we have very small classes. So when we're presenting data, it may look like I'm giving you broad strokes. That's not to hide anything except for confidentiality for kids. But we can show you that growth, and I love data. So Michelle's also a data nerd. So the two of us together really get into that work. We're recruiting Renee. She's coming along with the data stuff. So yes, we can do a much better job sharing that with you, and would be happy to highlight some things that you can share as successes in the community for sure.
Well said, sir. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Well, I'm just gonna share, Dan and I were just talking, sorry, it was rude to talk, but anyway, we get that information from our principal, and your principals, I mean, she is wonderful with sharing for those of us that are not data nerds, that just like to hear how the kids are doing and how different kinds of improvements. So I just would encourage board members to listen to your principals, because they're on the ground with the kids every single day and know what's going on. And there's millions of face-to-face hours with the children from your principals. So.
Does West River do a principal update at your meetings? Because I was surprised for Drew to say that, because we get the same thing. We get updates, our principal reports.
They submit written reports and then speak to them usually. They vary in content, but we get some idea, but not really hard data. It's much more anecdotal.
We can make that out.
Yeah.
It's I know at the last state board meeting they had a big discussion about that, and the Secretary of Education had a whole PowerPoint on the data and how they have to do a better job to release that. And, you know, is the testing process a good one? Because, you know, students, when they hear the word test, they get all nerved up. And is it a really inaccurate, portray, now I'm gonna say the wrong word, but portrayal, okay, of what they're really doing, or a lot of schools have gone to multiple assessments like Jen's talking about, which tends to be a better tracking of what's going on. It also allows the teachers to adjust midstream. So if instead of waiting till a test that's taken in the spring that you don't get the results of to the fall, then you've already lost those kids. And so they're looking at making some changes at the state level also. But Drew, you were all set. You were all set. Anybody in the room before we go to TV land? Everybody good? TV land? I think we still got Abby somewhere. Kate, Dwight. All set, Dwight? Thank you. Okay, let's move on to PD professional development. I think Jen, you started talking about that.
Yeah, she mentioned this, and so you have this document in your handout. This, we don't need to spend a lot of time with it. I just want to share with you that when we talked about the half days, when we approved the school year calendar back in January, there were questions about the use of the half days, and so I tried to respond to that with what each building has planned for their half days next year, and the 5 PD days that are in the contract as well. So you can see what the plan is and who's doing what, which days, and you can see the responsive classroom, which is a really, I don't know, what would you call it? It's a universal tier for ensuring that there's structures and rules and
social emotional learning. It's castle learning.
Executive functioning, all that stuff in classroom settings. And then the universal design for learning, as she said, is sort of a best practice in instructional pedagogy that is that we're using for 3 days as well. So lots of opportunities for people to be engaged with different types of learning. So I just wanted to share that. We don't need to have a big discussion on it, but I wanted to share that.
So you guys all set with that, ladies and gentlemen? Any questions, comments? TV land? Okay.
All right,
So
then
we
the last
move on
thing.
to central office audit.
Yep, so this was something we talked about doing. I think I told you guys a couple of meeting or two ago that we were at the Vermont Learning Collaborative, soon to be our Southeastern CISA, provided as a service for small fee, an audit of central office, and that's the operational side of central office, it's the business office, operations, et cetera. And so we had several days of visits by the consultant. The consultant was a 30-plus year veteran Vermont business manager from the central part of the state, who's quasi-retired, who's doing this work. And so he came down and did this analysis for us and highlighted some things. So he has like a much longer report. This is what I took out as a sort of executive summary. There's obviously in the full report some stuff about personnel, specific things, recommendations, so I didn't necessarily want to share that out publicly, but this covers sort of the key findings and recommendations that came out of this, as well as some staffing conclusions. So I'm happy to talk about this. I just got this yesterday, so I've had a chance to go over it. Heidi has been on vacation, she and I haven't even gone over it, but there it is if you want to get a sense of that. But the short version is we felt we were appropriately staffed, and that potentially our director of finance was underpaid comparatively. So that's where we're at.
Will you be providing the full report to the board members?
I may redact some names, but let me process that with Heidi first before I do that more publicly. The one name that's in it was in his comments, and that was really because he was referencing one person in the role, how it's a 2-part role, and so the person that shares 2 things. So I left that in because it wasn't in any way derogatory, it's just about her role. But that was the result of that audit, so I wanted to share that with you guys. Happy to take questions on that.
So I just want to make a quick comment for a little historical background. So when I first became chairman of Windham Central was a long time ago, and then Emily was chair for a little while, and I became chair again. But before me was a lady named Linda Decker, Dr. Decker's wife in Newfane. And I'll never forget a story she told when she used to be the chair of Windham Central. She would sit down one day a month, usually Sunday evening, at her dining room table. She would take out her shoebox, she would open it up, and she would write the 6 checks that Windham Central was responsible for writing that month. And she would write the checks, and then the superintendent would co-sign them because they needed 2 signatures. And that's what the SU was. It was a superintendent, an assistant superintendent, and it was a small board, and was the SU at that time. Somebody made a comment earlier, about, I don't remember, they had some number, but $30 to $35 million. I joke a little bit, but we will approve pay warrants at Windham Central, and we'll approve River Valley pay warrants, and $110,000, and I'm like, how many of you have ever spent $110,000 in 30 seconds? And the numbers are really, really high. But does anybody know where that 30 to 35 million came from? Anybody guess?
I got a guess.
Yeah.
Combine your budget, West River's budget, Marlboro's budget, Windham's budget, all the Stratton's budget,
the SU,
and the SU budget. That's
so
seven budgets because the SU has 2. So that's what the office is managing. Yeah.
And $35 million is a pretty important role. And I don't think anybody can do it at their dining room table on a Sunday evening in their shoebox anymore. So things have really changed, and I know a lot of people don't believe it, but I really believe. I've said for years at Windham Central, I testified at the Senate and the House up under the Golden Dome, that I always thought Windham Central should be the model for how an SU should be run, especially when you go back to our fee for service. And it was really funny because when our business manager left and went somewhere south, and I went to a meeting down south, and the people from Guilford are saying to me, "Hey, how do you guys do that? Why do you do that? Who said?" I said, "You've got our business manager. You stole him. Ask him. He's the one that set it up." So anyways, any comments, anything for Bill's central office audit? And yeah, we make sure that gets out, please. The audit.
Yeah, I'll want to give me some time to review that with Heidi first.
Yeah. Okay, and everybody here good? TV land? Somebody got to tell me if they see a hand go up. Okay, and then report on administrative salaries. I think he kind of covered that.
That was the document I shared before.
Yeah, so is there any questions on that? Are we good with that? I think we've covered that. There's a couple things, and I maybe should have added, if you guys will indulge me for a couple seconds. We don't need to have a long conversation, but I want to put it in the minutes and have a discussion about it next time we get together. I unfortunately came in, I wasn't sure what was going on. He sat down there and I heard some really good things going on, so I actually took some notes. Something I think maybe it should be the policy committee, but we can have that discussion later. Somebody earlier said something about how to deal with letters sent and should there be an acknowledgement. And what I'd like to see, if at least for now, because I get a couple 300 emails a day, so I don't always look at all my emails. So, and I don't know how everybody else does. I'm sure some of you, get more at certain times of the year. If you're a tax guy, probably, till April 15th. What I'd like to see is the SU, if there's any emails, I'd like to see an SU board email account set up. And I'd like just somebody from central office just to monitor it. And if there's, in my business, a lot of times people send me an email, on Friday night at midnight saying my house is leaking, there's water, the pipes are flowing, my basement's flooded. And nobody looks at emails till somebody shows up Monday morning. So I think it would be, at least for a start for now, to have somebody from central office at least review all the emails if there is an emergency, like my child didn't get picked up, or I have an issue with something that somebody's at least looking at them. And I think maybe as part of our policy rewrite that we look at how we address questions that come to the board. Because one of the things, like when we did the Act 46 studies, we had some people that were trying to answer questions, And the problem was, is you're not answering questions as a board, you're answering questions as an individual. So what we did do was, we did have somebody go through and answer the questions, and it was brought to the next Act 46 meeting, and then the group agreed that these would be the responses we would get. So again, maybe for the policy committee, that's something to think about. And those were the two kind of things I just took from your guys' meeting, so I'm stealing from you guys. Anybody else have any other, Drew, you all set? Any other things you want to bring up?
Back to emails, I had emailed you wanting a breakdown of how the 5% that was voted in for raises was put out.
How, I'm sorry.
Say that again?
So back in November, we put a blanket number that there was 5% increase in salaries, and that the superintendent was going to administer that however he felt appropriate. And I'd emailed you 3 weeks ago about getting a breakdown of how that was sent, or how that money was spent.
Was that to me too, or just
both of you? It was actually there was an email that was to Joe, because I had requested information, so it was the whole string of back and forth between.
Okay.
But
Yeah, because we put us in a salary line item, and then.
But we never said how we were going to spend that money.
Right. The superintendent was supposed to make the recommendation, so can you do that for us and send that out to the board? Are you all set, Drew?
Yep.
Lindsay? No, she's a pro, Leanne.
We need name tags.
I need an other than an L name. Sorry, Leanne.
No problem.
I didn't flip my page over quick.
All set.
You all set, Al?
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad, he called me Ken for years.
Yeah, for some reason. He passed away, somebody said, go ahead, Abby.
Could we also have the policy committee take a look at how information is obtained? It seems to be that people are requesting information and it's not being met within a fair timeline. Some of the information that was sent out yesterday, I think, is pertinent, that we, maybe most people here haven't even had a chance to digest. So we need to get ahead of that. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you, Abby. Yeah, I kind of all encompassing. So, yes. Kate or Dwight, you guys good? Yep, okay. Old business, financial report. So Heidi couldn't be here. She's got, personal commitment. She did send a financial, and I'm not gonna be able to put my hands right on it, but it looks like this.
Here's the overview.
Yeah, and I had taken some time over the weekend to look at it, because I do approve the warrants, because nobody else does. And one of the things I've written down, and this is the wrong packet, if you look at the numbers, it's pretty impressive. Just up top, general fund superintendent's budget. After last year, there was $477,327.08, and when we get into hundreds of thousands, I don't know why we do the pennies. But that's a pretty good, that's an audited, so that's an actual number that we know of. Revenues for 26 are $2,010,000, expenses are $2,071,000. So unaudited, she's just projecting, because obviously 26 doesn't end until June 30th. She's projecting about 415,000. So year over year, the 477 minus the 415, the difference is $61,000. But remember, we also agreed last year to use $100,000. So when you add that back in, we're in really good shape. And I've always commended both our bill, at least in River Valleys, and when we were Dover and the SU office, just because it's in the budget doesn't mean it has to get spent. And again, I think this is an example. Unfortunately, if revenues are not, people aren't, the federal government and states, not sending everything that they promised us 2 years ago and a year ago. The MTSS budget is always a really crazy budget, because people are fluent, they move in and out of the area, they move in and out of the area. So we had an audited surplus of $2,183,000, and this year our revenues were $6,336,000, our expenses are $7,474,000, so we're $1,000 $1,046,000 difference there. But there is a note, and I forgot where it was, or if it was just said to us that we expect there's some extraordinary funds. So what happens is at the end of the school year, there's a report done in August, a stat report that goes to the state, and they look at our special ed expenditures, and although we are block granted with, and I get confused on the acts, if you can keep track of the acts, you're doing better than me, but the act that said we're just gonna give you a chunk of money, you gotta take care of everything with that, it's a lot less than we used to get. But there are some students that require some really expensive excess services that are above and beyond. And a lot of those we get reimbursed for, but we get reimbursed after we spend the money. So that's why you can't get real nervous until you see the audit and the stat report gets filed. So she's hoping, Heidi's hoping that there's gonna be some more money because we did have some extraordinary expenses that weren't planned for, so they didn't give us money during the year, but they catch up with us on the end of the year. And then the FFS used to be fee-for-service agency. Those are the ones that should have a direct correlation because those are the ones that we stopped voting on, but this year there's so few of those positions now. That was where Dover and Wardsboro and Townsend all hired a band teacher. We couldn't afford a full-time band teacher. We only had a day to a day and a half to a half a day. So the SU would hire that person and then we would split it amongst the schools. And if you remember back, one of the band leaders, one of the schools dropped out because they didn't have as many people. So we all, as a collective, decided to each cover that last 0.5 so we could keep that person. And what they were doing was they were doing the cadet band. One afternoon a week, everybody would come to Leland and Gray from all the elementary schools and they would do a performance. But we've kind of gotten away from that because a lot of those positions now were required to be funded anyways by the act that made us fund all the special ed and made all the transportation go through central office and all the food services and all those expenditures. So it's very little, and eventually I think we're gonna see that phased out, or we're all gonna get phased out, so there won't be any of us anyways. So that's just an overview. It looks like the budget's really in good shape, but remember, it's all projected. We still got a month and a half roughly, month and a week. So let's hope nothing goes off the rails for us. So she also included the detail thing. A lot of times people ask for that. So if you have any questions, please send them to Bob. And I want to start doing reviews once, every time we meet. I would like to go through the budget and just, see where we stand and how things are. Because again, students move in or out of the district, it can make some big changes. I still talk about and go over 30 years ago when a student moved out, day before school started, moved to Stanford, and the Stanford school board chair and the principal called up because they were really upset because they didn't have $100,000 budgeted, and they thought we should send them our $100,000 that we budgeted because we had already budgeted for it. I don't think we did that. It didn't go over great, but that happens in special ed world, so in MTSS world, I guess. I'm sorry, special ed. I apologize for that. Again, Heidi couldn't be here. She has a family personal commitment, but she did give us a report. And again, we're going to look for these every month. If you have any questions, I'm pretty well versed in budget, so I can help you with it, or Bob can help you with it too. But is everybody good? Any questions or comments? And that was attached to the packet, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep. Everybody okay? TV world okay? We lost some more people. Sorry, folks. District updates. We usually take a few minutes to do district updates. So if Abby, you want to go first?
Sure. There's parents in Windham that have filed a petition that was sent up to legislation asking to be a part of Bennington Rutland. And yep, we're just kind of moving forward with how things are going and what to expect out of legislation this week. That's all. Thanks.
I think there's a lot of people really kind of waiting on pins and needles, huh? A lot of stuff going on. Thank you, Abby. Any comments, questions for Abby? We don't have Windham yet, right? I mean Stratton. No. So you want to do, Joe, you want to do West River?
Sure. Big news out of West River is we didn't pass our budget the second time. We're working to solve that crisis. And we also, as part of the passing the budget, we're developing a timeline to talk about maybe some structural changes in what we can do. Some of the studies, revisit some of the study work we've done to, address the desires of our towns.
Newfane had a reassessment and got a notice from them. So
I hear the average is 60%, and Randy reported his was 115.
Who?
Randy, principal at Townsend.
Mine wasn't that bad.
Well, congratulations.
My Dover reassessments were worse, but I think I was like 70%.
Yeah, it's
That makes you wealthier.
So we're gonna redo our.
Yeah, my land just went up in value, so I tried cashing it in, and the bank kind of laughed at me.
We'll redo our impact letter and send it out again ahead of the next vote. That didn't help us any.
Yeah, do you know what Newfane CLA was? Because I didn't look that up.
Yeah, 80s.
Oh, was that high?
That's what I had heard anecdotally.
Does that sound
It
right?
might have been a
75?
little, yeah, it might have dipped even a little more right before the end, yeah, it's upper 70s.
Okay.
Because like Brookline, I noticed is at 112 or something, 115. I could find that one. I couldn't find Newfane. And then Dover was like 50, so I expected ours to be half. Or, to go up. But.
Yeah.
Any other West River folks? Anything? Drew, what's going on with the Jamaica school building? Is that going to the town?
The town did vote to buy the school. We haven't, I don't know if we've negotiated exact transfer terms yet, but the town has a working committee to try to figure out what they're gonna do with it, once the town takes over the building, but lots of discussions around education happening in Jamaica.
I taught there in that building. It was a fun building. They had some good people in it, so it's sad. Speaking of sad, the guy that went there, his family went there, his grandchildren went there, and his great-grandchildren. Tell us about Marlboro.
So everybody knows that we are non-operational at the end of this fiscal year, the end of June. Most of the kids, I think maybe all of the kids, have chosen to go to schools in Windham Southeast. Academy School, BAMS, high school, lots of them like the Putney Central School. We are going to be offering transportation for them, still to be figured out. Of course, as you can all imagine, there's a lot of anxiety around how are we gonna get our kids where, but we have decent buses that we own. We have 4 bus drivers right now that we're trying not to piss off too much, so they stick with us. And the building, so far, we want to try to keep the building in the ownership of the school district, because there's interest in using it for, basketball, or there might be kids wanting to do an after-school program or whatever. For the time being, for at least for the coming year, we have enough money in the budget to keep the building and to try to figure out how to repurpose it, rather than just sell it off. Anything else, Rachel? What else are we doing these days?
No, it seems like busing is the big question. How we're gonna get those kids where they wanna be for school. Or where their parents want them to be, I should say.
That's gonna be a big thing, if the state's trying to consolidate buildings, how are they gonna get, it's not great roads. The mover's not supposed to just transport students, because they've got to transport anybody, so a lot of parents get nervous and
little kids.
about little kids going on a bus with people going down to the parking garage in Brattleboro, and it's kind of crazy.
For a friendly amendment to Dan's update.
Yeah, please, yeah.
There's a small handful of students from Marlboro who are actually going to go in Dover.
Oh, okay, I wasn't aware of that, but that's good to know.
3 or 4 or 5,
Yeah.
So they must be the ones that live on Lower and Upper Dover.
Proximity is key,
That was kind of the point of becoming non-operational while we're still a non-merged district, is that our students would have, so many other elementary schools surround Marlboro, make it available and convenient for the families and the students. That's where we stand right now. So yeah, I'm glad to hear some are going to Dover.
All set?
All set?
Everybody good with Marlboro? Kate, you want to do River Valleys, please?
Sure. So the River Valleys Board has had a very busy spring. We did pass our budget. We did do it. We're kind of unique. We don't do it with a vote, like a ballot vote. We do it from the floor. And we did have somebody make an amendment from the floor. So that is one of the benefits of being able to do it that way. We have been having time during our meetings. We had one of the state senators come in. We've had Laura Sibilia, our state representative, come in and talk with us about all of the different changes that are impacting our students and impacting everything. So, Dwight, what else? Is there anything you'd like to add?
I think that's it. The only other, at our annual meeting, we did talk about continuing the IB program. There was a debate about that, and we brought that. We did. And Kate, you were on that committee, so maybe you can talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, so Dover brought the IB program in. We're guessing somewhere around a decade ago. Rich might know exactly, but all of our memories are a little bit fuzzy at 9:30 at night. So, and that was something that the town of Dover really worked hard to bring into the school. And so the board didn't feel that it was our purview to be able to say, yes, we're going to have it, or no, we're not. So that was one of the things that we brought to the community at our district meeting this year. And we did take that to a vote, and it ended up being a ballot vote at the meeting. And people did vote to continue with the IB program at Dover School. So what that means is we will have like the EL curriculum and the other curriculums that we're using SU wide, but then the Dover School also kind of overlay the IB curriculum with it and ensure that the tenets of IB are being utilized for the students at Dover School.
It wasn't a ballot vote. It was a warned item, but they requested paper ballot, so it wasn't like, it's just people at the meeting could vote, which is a little different than like putting out a ballot.
It was a private vote at the district at the meeting. Yeah, so everybody could vote however they saw fit, and it wasn't, so it was interesting for sure.
Dwight, I have a question about the electric school bus. As you know, we applied for a grant to get one just before things went south in Washington, D.C.
I mean, it was working perfectly well, and everything was going smoothly, and we were saving money, and everything was great until there was a recall on the bus, unfortunately, for the battery systems. So we're having trouble getting the recall repaired, but otherwise it was doing well. But now we're waiting to get that repaired, and hopefully that will get done soon, and we can get it back in operation.
Great, thanks.
Sure.
That was predictable.
Dan, notice Dan didn't ask me, Dwight, he asked you.
Well, I gave it to a straight race, that's why he asked me.
Rich was going to say I caught on fire. I know what he was going to say.
No, but actually,
we're
we're moving it away from the building because of up north. Was it up north
Williston.
or Williston? Yeah, and with those fires, you can't put them out. You just gotta let them go. And, it's not great.
It's a great device to put our kids on.
Don't go there. I lost some of my board, my cohort on that. I'm all by myself, Drew. Okay, so old business, consent agenda. Approve the minutes of the 3:25 and 4:27. We do have one correction that was brought to our attention on spelling of a name. That should be in the record. It was recorded. Is there any other, is everybody good with the minutes?
I make a motion that we approve them as amended by correcting the name.
For both sets?
For both sets.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is, so our minutes pass. Folks, it's 9:35, 9:40. We have 3 more things we have to do. I've got 4 letters I'd like to acknowledge. I have a letter from Fiona. I have a letter from, email letter, correspondence. I have one from Michael Pelton that's like 3 pages. I have a Heather Stephenson, which is almost a page, and a Monica Sullivan, which is about 2.5 pages. We all have it. They were attached to the agenda. Would everybody be okay if I didn't read them? Is there anybody that requests me to read or requests somebody to read any of them? You guys good on TV land?
Some of the ones that you had mentioned when I clicked the link, I did not see those. So could you at least summarize what the content of them are?
So these were all on the.
I thought they were. I'll double check that.
So we have one from Fiona dated March 30th. Do you have that one, Abby?
No, I do not.
Lee, did you click the link on the agenda to go to the folder?
Do you see it, Kate?
I do. I see there's on the agenda there it is linked to a folder for correspondence, and I see all the 4 that you mentioned.
Fiona, Michael Pelton,
Yep.
Heather Stephenson, and Monica Sullivan.
Yep.
Okay, so Abby, they are on there. I can email them to you, or we can send this to you. Can you just make sure you send them without a link?
Yep.
And just make sure you send it to all the board members without a link.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Sorry about that. I do have the same problem a lot of times. So we have a couple executive sessions. I know one is that person, the staff member here.
Yes.
Okay. So can we so it's a two-place motion. It's a two-piece motion. So it's the second one. Let's go to that one first. I'm sorry, so that we don't make that person wait. So can somebody make a motion to specific finding premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage, and then the second motion? Can I get the first motion by somebody in a second, please?
I'll make the first motion. There we go. Go ahead.
I move to make a specific finding that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage.
You want to second that?
Second it.
Okay, so Kate moved, Dan second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Appears to be unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. And then the second motion?
I move we enter executive session to discuss a contract under 1 V.S.A. 313A 1A.
Second it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Kate, a second by Dan. All those in favor say aye.
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 Appears to be unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. So we are entering executive session. I need to ask you guys to step back. Go ahead.
Shall I make it?
If you want to make it.
I move that since there is no policy or precedent that we are aware of, at the request of a supervisory union employee whose position was eliminated by the supervisory union, I move to grant the employee all of the outstanding sick days at a rate of $50 a day.
Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Thank you, Fiona. You get any discussion first?
Thank you for bringing this to our attention, and we have considered, and here's where we've ended up.
Yeah, any comment?
No.
Anybody have any other comments or questions? So it is going to be the number of sick days at the end of the year, so it'll be a final check, and that you should be able to take care of that, right?
On it.
Okay. So if there's no other discussion, all those in favor of the motion to grant the full amount of 42.5,
or however many are
yes, however
outstanding at
many
the end of the year,
and that will be paid at $50 a day. All of you in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is thank you for your service, and I'm glad you brought this to us. So Bob will take care of it, his office will take care of it for you at the end of the year. And good luck to you in the future. Okay. Guess what we gotta do again, guys?
How do we do it now?
Same thing, on the front
I
sheet.
move to make a specific finding that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or a person involved in a substantial disadvantage.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Appears to be unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is.
I move we enter executive session to discuss the ESS contract negotiations under 1 V.S.A. Section 313A1B.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Drew, seconded it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, here's Dwight. Dwight, you good?
I'm good, aye.
Okay. Appears to be unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Okay, somebody like to make a
I want to
motion?
make a motion to approve the ESS contract and authorize the chair to sign on behalf of the WCSU.
Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Al. Is there any discussion? Because it's late, we, I think, Joe, can you just put a summary together to put in the minutes? Of the contract?
Sure.
After
Oh,
after
absolutely.
West River signs it. Because if we do it now, it would be unfair to the West River group.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we'll have a summary of that because it still has to be approved by West River after West River gets the vote on it. You're doing that, you said, in June.
We'll do that at June 8th.
Okay, is everybody good with that? Okay, any discussion? Anybody want to go any further? If you're all ready to vote, not seeing anybody opposing a vote, all those in favor of ratifying and have the chair signing, signify so by saying aye.
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 Okay, it appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. Remember, this is your time to object. We can have a roll call vote. Fiona wants a roll call vote, I guess. Okay, unanimous decision, we're all good. Okay, Abby, go ahead.
Thank you. I know that there's another executive session that's scheduled. Is it possible, since a special meeting is likely due in the near future, that we can move that agenda item to that meeting and we can all go to bed?
Allison's been here the whole time.
Yeah. So Allison, who used to be the chair of the Stratton Board, has always done the technology portion of the superintendent's evaluation, and she has been a trooper and stuck it out. I would really like to continue, just to, respect her time and not make her come back again, since she's no longer on the board. I did get permission from almost all the board members back in February to have Allison work on it, because she does a really good job with the summary and the technology, and I can't even fill out the stupid questionnaire online, so. But Abby, you may make a motion to that effect if you would like, but I'm not sure if it would pass.
She doesn't come back. So.
But you could definitely, it's your right to make a motion if you would like.
Given the, public scrutiny we've had, I would like the board to be fully aware and with it. And I think everyone's probably kind of feeling it. It is super late. And I don't want to be dismissive either of anyone's time, and I do value that. So, but at the same time, we aren't doing anybody any justice if everyone is pooped and just trying to get through things fast because they're tired. So I would move that we move the executive session to the next special meeting date.
Okay, do we have a second to her motion? Did she leave, or
She went to get Allison.
Okay, I don't think she's
Allison's
okay,
not here.
Abby, I don't have anybody to make, to second that, so the motion dies because there is no second, okay?
Well, okay, I'll go with that because I'm tired, but just so you know, that is incorrect. We have the school board's rules of order we just adopted. You don't require a second.
Well, we didn't actually, Abby, please, we didn't adopt the school board's rules of order. We adopted Robert's rules of orders. They're quite different. Again, I'm not the end-all be-all. Is there anybody who would like to argue that it doesn't require a second? Does anybody agree with Abby's interpretation of the rules? Okay, Abby, there's nobody that agrees with you, so, and believe me, if you had a majority, I would say that we could have a vote on that, but we don't have even anybody to second your thoughts. So I'm gonna make a ruling that no, Abby does need a second. There is no second, so we're not gonna have a vote. Okay? Everybody good with that? Okay. So, 2 more motions, folks, and then 2 more motions after that. And then a third.
Is there 2 more? I move to enter executive session to evaluate the
It's just one.
I'm sorry, you're right, Kate, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna move to enter executive session to evaluate the superintendent under 1 V.S.A. 313A3.
My second.
Thank you, Fiona. And we got a motion by Kate. All those in favor, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
I will come back at 10:30 at night.
Okay.
Wait.
Anybody opposed?
Just
Hang on a second, folks. Anybody opposed? Okay, so it appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. We're in executive session, so Bob, give me my computer. Just real quick, we'll put the evaluation together, the officers will present it to Bob, and we'll have a discussion at the next meeting so we can make sure everybody's aware of what was submitted. Go ahead, Drew.
Make that motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
We're gonna give it to her.
That's fine.
Okay. All those
Lindsay,
in
right?
favor
Lindsay.
say aye.
Yes,
Opposed? I hear a couple opposed. Do we need a roll call vote?
No.
Okay, thank you, everybody. It's unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. We're done at 11:05.